Okay, everybody out there, welcome to tonight's episode of Sword in the Darkness. As some of you may know, maybe not everybody, but some of you may know, I am the head game master and founder here at Manufactured Myth Legerdemain, and tonight's beginning is a beginning that I have been kind of working on for a few years now. So the Sword in the Darkness setting is something that I first started developing a couple of years or so ago for specifically for the Cypher system. One of my favorite, if not currently my favorite, systems, a very nicely narrative-based system that suits the style of myself and my players. So tonight we're going to be bringing you the first of what I think is going to end up being 6, 7, or 8 episodes. I think we've got something kind of special here. I'm very excited to be running this with 4 very good friends of mine who've been very kindly, been very generous to sort of loan me their time every other Friday for the next, I think it's going to be 2.5 or 3 months. Um, so if you're interested in supporting us, if you like what you see tonight, please do think about liking and subscribing, but maybe even better, if you could share either through a link or word of mouth what we are doing, we would very much appreciate it. Um, so without further ado, though, let's get to let's get down to business and let's get into the adventure, the reason why everyone is here tonight. So 7 years ago, the very fabric of space-time above the frigid Arctic wastelands of Orbis Terra tore, spilling forth a cosmic flood of vile darkness. So enormous cosmic monstrosities, some reaching 100 feet in the height, emerged carrying with them a cosmic sickness, an infectious other dimensional disease that polluted the oceans and poisoned the lands of Orbis Terra. Despite the noblest efforts by brilliant naturalists to contain the sickness, the most valiant efforts by fierce warriors to defeat the monstrosities, all nations, all peoples eventually fell to the darkness except for one. calling on an ancient cult of practitioners of forbidden magic, the royal family of the Kingdom of Frank Reich commissioned the construction of an immense labyrinthine wall to secure the borders around their nation. It was created using otherworldly materials and forgotten, forbidden, and forsaken magical principles. So this grand labyrinth, the largest structure ever created by man, has kept the darkness at bay ever since. Now, outside the walls, darkness reigns. The lands and the seas have been poisoned beyond hope. Countless monstrosities have overrun most of Orbis Terra, decimating or wiping out entire populations. The few survivors out there huddle in enclaves and strongholds within the flooded lands. And yet, one light burns in the darkness, the last nation of Frank Reich and the legendary Grand Labyrinth holding back that darkness. Within those walls, however, the integrity of the lands and the seas has been compromised. Storms of hot ash and freezing snow rage across the land, and thick clouds blot out the sun. Crops struggle to take root. Whole species of livestock have died off, and the green of Mother Nature has darkened. Still, the people of Frank Reich push back against the darkness. His Majesty King Hugo Reason, blessed leader of Frank Reich, regularly dispatches the troops of the King's army outside the walls of the Grand Labyrinth, where they wage dozens of military campaigns, secret missions, and rescue expeditions. They seek food and water, allies, survivors, but most of all, they seek a cure for the darkness strangling their world. To maintain morale within this isolated nation, King Hugo has declared today to be the Day of the Green, a celebration of the beauty and majesty of Mother Nature. Today, residents of Frank Reich come together, dressing in clothing and costumes, evoking the spirit of Mother Nature, animals and insects, plants and trees of a bygone era. Restaurants, places of business, storefronts have all been decorated in crepe paper plants and colorful animals, hoping to bring back the spirit of the green of Mother Nature, the force that withers even within the walls. But today is a day for food and drink, for stories and laughter, and time spent with friends. For some, however, the celebration is seen as a distraction to divert attention from the growing discontent among the people. And so with that, let's meet and greet the heroes of our story, four friends struggling against the darkness. So today, as I mentioned, is the Day of the Green. The Day of the Green is held in the Royal Game Preserve, sitting at the center of the capital city of Frankreich, known as Braves. It serves as an oasis from the cosmic flood outside the walls, and even an oasis within the very kingdom of Frankreich. So the preserve protects species from all around the world, brought in from the darkness by the king's army, and it's maintained meticulously by the royal game keepers. And here and now, what matters is the massive green parade and festival that is currently in progress. A large section of the royal game preserve has been cordoned off and turned into a carnival, complete with games and rides, a marketplace, an area for contests of strength, and even a small temporary zoo with rare and exotic animals on display. Tens of thousands of people have gathered, many of them for the Green Parade, a succession of immense wooden and papier-mâché floats. And the streets are now lined with excited spectators and onlookers, awaiting one colorful float after another to be pulled by the royal draft horses of the king. So with that, let's actually meet some of our players and find out who they are and what they're doing here at the celebration. So is there anyone in particular, now that I've sort of given that long soliloquy and bored you all, I think we're all free to interact at this point. Um, would anyone like to start us off and tell us maybe a little bit about who you are and, but more importantly, maybe what you're doing here at the fair, the marketplace, the celebration? Anyone?
I think
Well,
Henri is the smooth one. He should start.
I'll bite. Sure. Uh, so um, I'm Steve Canaris, if that matters, and I'm portraying Henri Ducasse, who is something of a I don't know, like con man slash explorer slash thief slash street urchin who found out that after the cosmic flood, there was a lot of money to be made by making his way to the outside over the wall, spelunking and treasure hunting, and then bringing back artifacts back into the city and selling them either to the arts cosmique or the black market, where he has some contacts and some things. He for a very long time until recently had a companion named Pierre, a wolf-like mutated creature from beyond the wall that unfortunately met a tragic end not too recently, but he still hasn't gotten completely over that.
All right. And
And
oh,
I was going to say the reason that he's at the carnival is his most recent trip back, which from beyond the wall, he found an artifact that he believes is probably magical and probably has some value to the wizards of the arts cosmique. It's an alabaster wand, and he does not really like magic, but he knows that by the runes inscribed on it, it probably has magical properties. So he's looking to unload it, but he doesn't have, not that he doesn't have the best reputation with the academy or the college. He doesn't want to be on their radar.
mm,
So he'd rather unload it through a middleman rather than letting these wizards know his name and perhaps try to procure his services in a way he does not like.
sure. Sounds very good. And now you're going to your, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we did talk a little bit about how we were going to start
Mhm.
the adventure off. You're going to see your family metallurgist. Is that correct? To have a,
Correct. Yeah.
okay. All right.
I've got a guy who, he has his metallurgy business, but he also works as kind of a fence for stuff.
Sounds good. How about with that, I think it would be a natural segue. Why don't we go with you, Philippe? Because I believe that you and Henri are maybe in the same area of the carnival. What are you up to?
Henri and we work together often. I'm Philippe. My surname, not of import. I was an orphan and conscripted into the King's Army as such. I'm a big boy, quite large in many ways, but I digress.
Not the
I
Abdal's big boy.
Yes, I carry burgers around,
Okay.
but that is not what I want to
Not
get
the point.
distracted by. I am a fighter. I worked in the King's Army, worked my way up to sergeant in the emergency response and tactical squad.
Hmm?
You might have heard of us. We added a V on the front so we could wear green on our armor. The Verts, Valoris is what that V stands for. Renowned career there, but I was hired out of that service by a Baron Laurent. He hired me to be a bodyguard, and I did my job well until he was murdered. And I spend my time now as a free radical, a soldier of arms. I've connected with Henri because both of us go in and out of the wall to find things constantly. And I am with him now for the same metallurgist. I have this fantastic spike I am trying to have attached to the bracers of my armor. The story of my life, my armor is. And I am hoping that this spike will fit in perfectly, and Henri has the perfect contact
Now,
to reach out to.
his infamous metallurgist fence. Now, can I ask a little detail here, maybe just something to help the viewers and maybe all of us envision your character? Of course, the artwork and the image that we sort of designed and had made for this doesn't show your face. Are you Mandalorian style, wearing your helmet all of the time, or is that something you take off from time to time, or perhaps just your companions here have seen
I
you?
take it off when I feel safe,
Hmm.
but no other times. Otherwise, one of those monstrosities might catch me and ruin this beauteous image that you see here.
So it's something that's always on your mind is the possibilities that those
I could get
monstrosities.
hurt.
Hmm.
Yes, those monstrosities. I hate them.
All right then. So with that, now let's talk to Elay or Francois. Would either one of you like to tell us who you are and maybe where you are there at the carnival?
So my name's Elay Toussaint. I originally come from Beyond the Wall. My mother was a village healer who was unceremoniously hung by village elders that were unimpressed by her standoffishness and, shall we say, unorthodox methods of healing people. So I got banished for being the witch's daughter. Haven't found much gainful employment since then, so I've picked up monster hunting to sleep somewhere, eat a little bit, shuffle off to the next contract, and I also see dead people.
Mm. Not
I
unlike
don't
your
really,
mother,
yeah,
correct?
not unlike mom,
Yes.
which, she was like, hey, you have some of my gifts. And I'm like, well, what do I do with this? Let's make some money off of it. So today I'm looking for herbs, maybe to exchange some seeds, because my mom also taught me some of her craft in that area as well. And I like knitting sometimes when I'm not stabbing living beings. I like stabbing textiles. So
Hmm.
looking for some sort of textiles to continue that when I'm just passing time.
Now, can I ask another little point here about your character? So you are looking, though, specifically for something of a magical bent. Is that sort of true, or a dark bent? Dark
Yeah,
with a
if
capital D?
something comes my way, I'm looking for something of magical properties.
All right. So that
We'll
would
see
probably
what comes up.
put you in the vicinity of where Francois is at. So Francois, can you tell us a little bit about your character and what he is up to here at the Carnival?
Francois Bernard is at the carnival out of habit. I came here every year looking for tiny little magical curios in the Magician's Row because I practiced the arts cosmique. In fact, I was a teacher, kind of a crap teacher. Um, even I had tenure, so they couldn't get rid of me. But I wasn't great with students and just have a surly personality. So I wound up writing a lot of training manuals. And that's I was stuck in my little hobbit hole, just scribbling away in the darkness. Um, but once a year, I come to the carnival and see if there were any artifacts that I would pick up and learn about and learn how to teach how they worked.
All right, great. So you would probably be probably you and Elay would be wandering the same sort of aisles looking for supplies or items or knickknacks or curiosities of, as I said, a magical bent. So probably in a similar area. So we're going to start off with Elay and Francois together and Philippe and Henri together. But before we get to them wandering through the aisles, what the four of you have noticed at this point is that it's amazing how many people are here at this moment. You had thought it was going to be thousands, and you'd thought it was going to be tens of thousands, and now you're thinking this may have gotten up into 100,000 or so people. And the busier and the more crowded it gets, the louder the crowds are getting, the louder the cheers are becoming. And now the streets out in front of the Royal Game Preserve are being cleared by members of the local Braves military. So, of course, Frank Reich is a kingdom that covers all of the nation. However, most of the major cities each have their own militaries and their own armies to take care of matters at home. And you, Philippe, and maybe you, Henri, recognize another group that is actually there. So moving the crowds out of the streets and poking them with their swords or with their staffs to get them to clear the street for the upcoming parade are members of Bastarak Services. Now, Bastarak Services is a private military company that is often hired and employed when there are not quite enough soldiers to do the dirty deeds that are necessary around the city. And indeed, many times Bastarak Services is employed in order to get things done that aren't exactly legal or maybe riding the edge of legality. And you can see the clear differences between the members of the local military and Bastarak Services as they clear the way, poking and prodding people out of the way. And
They are shabby and undisciplined.
you would very much think that. You would very much think that. And as a matter of fact, maybe a few of them maybe give you a good little, well, they raise their staff at you as if they were going to take a swipe, but then upon seeing how your armor is made from literally the body parts, the chitinous materials, the horns, the claws of monstrosities, they give it a second thought and then just let you go on your way and let your companions as well. And as the crowd clears, you can see way at the end of the streets that a parade is being readied. And small carnival workers, small children really, just employed in order to maybe keep the crowd happy and keep them satisfied, run past you and they drop leaflets and flyers detailing the order of the parade and the number of floats that are going to be in it and the sort of performances to expect and the decorations to expect from each one of these floats. And as that happens, another hole clears in the best spot between the game preserve and the street, and you notice a set of large bleachers and boxed seats where the Provost of Braves, Edward Pomeroy, sits at the top, eating and drinking and carousing. And he's surrounded by a coterie of friends and advisors, members of the Merchants Guild, the local military force that I mentioned before, artisans of the arts and letters, and his advisor, his right hand, the Mage Laflamme, who is one of the leaders of the Mages of the Arts Cosmique, headquartered here in Braves. And as a matter of fact, beside Mage Laflamme is Sergeant Bastarak himself. And now it's easy to tell Sergeant Bastarak and to tell the members of Bastarak Services from the regulars of the local army, because Bastarak is wearing the glistening black oily armor of Bastarak Services. There are many legends about what material this armor is made from, and the most commonly accepted legend is that it's actually made from the ground down powdered bones of monstrosities and bonded to the darkness. And if you should stare into this armor for too long, you would actually lose your sanity. But those are just stories. That's nothing to worry about. And I'm only mentioning that for fun, not because it's actually part of the story or plot later on. Not at all. And so the 4 of you now split up and head to your 2 destinations with this in mind. Is there anyone that would like to start, or any group that would like to start first? Any set or pair? It's up to you. There's no trickery here. Absolutely none. Anyone in particular? I'll select for you. I feel bad doing this. Oh, I feel like Steve is about to say something. Henri, go ahead.
I'm about to volunteer Francois and Elaine to go first.
Oh,
Very good. Yes.
Oh, you should.
So we've been voluntold.
Well,
Okay.
let's give Francois and Elaine 1 XP each. Please go ahead and mark that. Because I really
Hey.
like to reward players who are brave and not cowardly. I run my games the same way I run my classes. So Elaine and Francois, the 2 of you split off from Henri and Philippe, and you head toward an area known, of course, as Magician's Row. And this is a tight, cramped aisle that is just filled with all kinds of flim-flam men, maybe some legit magicians, but for the most part, these are people that are kind of desperate for business. So after the wall went up 7 years ago, these blasphemous mages of the arts cosmique actually took over, and their religion, their beliefs, their ways became most prominent here in Braves and across Frank Reich. So really right now you're in a little kind of area that's not really very well respected. A lot of the vendors here are vendors that aren't really doing very well, and they're struggling to make ends meet. So I'm going to give my players a chance, and I did give you 1 XP each. That wasn't a joke, so you can both take it. I'm going to give my players a chance to go ahead and tell me who it is they're seeking out in order to fulfill all of their magical shopping needs. Is there someone in particular? If you don't have an idea, I can throw something out, but I'm all for you folks building this world just as much as me.
For me, I kind of feel a need or compulsion to do like thorough checks because I'm looking for the unknown, the unusual when I go. So I'm pretty much going to pass every stall, and a lot of them are the same from year to year. So I would recognize pretty much every vendor, and I would have seen most of their wares a bunch of times. I'm looking for the one thing that's new or different that would stand out.
All right. So Elaine, before we kind of handle this, how about you? How are you feeling? What's your method of finding?
Well, I mean, there's also a lot of desperate people who are just trying to sell whatever they have and, say, oh, this is magical. This will help generate wealth, or this will let you talk to your dead uncle. And it's just, a bunch of like knuckle bones in a jar. And
Right.
it's like, okay, this is fake. This is already used up. This is trash. This is yesterday's leftovers. So I'm going to be like looking past that, kind of sticking with Francois to see if he knows like where the really special things are. And I haven't been to this festival very many times, but I'm noticing there's a lot of patterns that keep coming up of like the refuse of the magical world, I guess.
Sounds good.
A lot of empty promises.
So how about this? Why don't we have you, Francois, make your roll, and then Elaine, you can assist, and we'll ease the task by 1 on your roll. And if you'd like to apply any effort, or if you have some sort of an ability to help you kind of sniff out the genuine vendors here.
I do have an ability. I have several. I have sense magic. I have identifying and understanding the supernatural. And the third one is magic training.
So then what one would you like to use? If you go with the supernatural one, you're going to be looking for and sniffing out darkness. If you go with the magical one, you'll be going after something a little bit lighter. It's up to you both.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the sense magic.
Okay, so we've got Elaine as an assist. We've got sense magic, and now would you like to apply any effort to this roll? Up to you.
Sure, because I have a feeling this is gonna direct the rest of the game.
Yeah,
so
because
I'll apply
if you
some
don't
effort.
roll right, this may be the shortest campaign ever, and we may just say good night,
No.
everyone. See you later with our next grand campaign. Go right
So
ahead.
just as a mechanical thing to remind me, I'm subtracting one of effort off my sheet. So like if it's 3, I'm bumping it down to 2.
Yeah, but take a look at your
Okay.
edge.
Oh,
and
that's
you're
right,
taking
my
it out of
edge.
intellect, so intellect
Yeah.
cancels out, and I don't remember what it was, but if you have one
My
or two
edge
in
is 3.
there,
My
okay,
intellect
then
edge
in
is
that
3.
case
so.
it's a free roll.
Oh,
I
okay,
should say
cool.
it's a free easement. So go ahead and
Okay,
just
cool.
make your roll.
Roll a d20.
All comes down to
Here
this,
we
ladies
go.
and gentlemen. Let's see if this.
13.
A 13. A roll of a 13. Just let me check the bones here. A roll of a 13. Francois, is that you? Oh, a young man who you've maybe met before, and you can tell us the details of this if you'd like, or if you want to make them up. Otherwise, it's just somebody that you happen to know. Francois, please bring your friend. I've set up. I have my new stand here. Please come here. Come down here. I have much magical items for you. Much magical items. Look at me. Look at me. Magical items. He starts to beckon you down, several stalls down, and it's a young fellow in kind of like almost cliched robes of a sorceresque nature. But you can kind of tell by the fabric that this fellow probably hasn't really made very much money, and forever if he ever made any money at all. You don't remember me? I'm Mikhail. Come back. Mikhail Lars. Oh, you don't remember. Come back. Why are you standing there? You're not moving at all. Why are you? You're making me embarrassed. Look at all of these people. They are so busy, and here we are. I'm yelling to you. I'm like a girlfriend you don't love. Oh, okay. I'll just go back. I will just go back in here. Or boyfriend, because we are equal here. Everyone doesn't matter. Or whatever, something in between. But come back. Are you coming?
So with a little tap or
Oh, you're
nudge
not
to
coming.
Elay,
You're not
I
coming. I
direct
wait.
her
And he
towards
sulks.
the I basically bring Elay with me to check out his wares.
So you head to this rather shoddy-looking establishment that is just packed with all kinds of little bric-a-brac. Just every sort of little crazy item you could ever want. Well, ever not want maybe is here. There's a lot of stuff. Oh, look at this. Let me show you something. Oh, I'm sorry. Who is your friend? I recognize you, Francois, but not your friend.
Oh, Elay, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, Elay, you just said her name, so now I know. No need to
Fair.
introduce.
You're Mikhail.
Oh, yes, Mikhail. Nice to meet you. Very good to meet you. I have magic items. I have magic items, please. So let me show you something I just got in. Oh, look at this. And he leans in, and he does something where he kind of like he flicks his fingers in a certain way, and a coin appears, and he shows you the coin. He says, one side heads, and of course there's a little head on it. Then he says, other side heads also. Watch this. Here, you take it and flip it. Flip it over. Go ahead. Go ahead. You take it. You.
So-
No, wait, not you. Not Francois. No.
No.
He grabs it. Francois, how rude. We have a new friend here, and you take it from her. Let me give it to
Sorry.
your good friend. For our friendship. Okay. So then he holds out his other hand, and the coin is suddenly in the other hand, and he gives it to you, Eli. Go ahead. Flip coin. Flip it. Comes up on
It's
heads.
heads.
He says, you are so wonderful today, and you are going to succeed. Actually, I said that with the voice of, unfortunately, the character. I meant to say it with the voice of the coin. You are so beautiful and will succeed today. Don't you doubt yourself. You are going to succeed. Fantastic.
Oh, don't stop.
Oh, and by the way, you look ravishing. And I predict that someday you will be the leader of all that you survey.
And why wouldn't I be? Thank you very
I
much.
don't
You're very
know. I'm
charming.
not sure why. I'm not sure why everyone here in this market doesn't bow down before you and worship you. And then
I
so
wonder that myself.
so Mikhail leads. Oh, now hold on, just a moment. Watch this. Flip one more time. One more. You open up, and now it's on the other side. It's the other head. And on that head, there's a face which is folding its arms. You bitch, why did you flip me? Can you put me back? I am not your servant. I am not here to do anything you want me to do. Everyone flips me. All I do in my life is flip over. Every day. 360 degrees, and then I land. Oh my goodness. And everybody likes the other side of this coin, but nobody likes me. No, just because I'm honest. You know, look at the blemishes on your face. You really should do something about those blemishes. Oh my goodness. It is a surprise that you are not in a dark alley somewhere, like or face down on a beach with a bottle of wine in your hand, with the waves washing over your body. My good, and the thing doesn't shut up unless you put it away or you want it to
So
go
I
on.
hand the coin back to Michaela. Thank you
Oh,
very
you
much.
don't
Very
like it.
interesting.
This is a wonderful coin. You don't like this coin?
Uh, what's its purpose?
Purpose? What do you mean? Does magic need a purpose? Magic makes you feel fantastic. It's something amazing. Magic makes you feel alive. Okay, I'll put it away. No problem. He puts it away. Not good for you. Are you looking
I
for
mean,
something?
unless you want to inspect it, Francois.
Well, I've been watching this whole thing. I mean,
So, how
so far it's just a talking coin.
All right. Well, there's not no good. Let me give you another coin. Okay.
Okay.
You drive a hard bargain. Let me give you another coin. I give you another coin. He holds a coin out. This is the coin of 50-50 divination. 50% of the time it will tell you the future. 50% of the time it will tell you the future and be wrong. It's good.
Okay.
I'm not a mathematics major, so I don't know what that means. But I know that sometimes it's right. If you can figure that out and pay me, you can have it. No? Just nothing. Oh my goodness, you fools! Oh, I brought you into my... You make me look so stupid in front of the other magicians. Look at them. They're making so much money, and I make nothing. I make nothing from you. You don't want it? Is there something else? Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me give you something here. Okay. What size are your feet?
Is he gonna
I
ask
don't
for
know.
feet pics?
No. That does not yet
I
exist.
don't know. Average size,
Okay.
I guess.
How about this? Let me give you boots of one size too small.
I'll pass.
These boots will
Thank you
fit
so
anyone
much.
except one size too small.
Thank you very much for the entertainment.
You don't want them. They're one size too small. I mean, if you want boots of exact size, they're far more expensive, but you know, one size is not so bad. They will fit anyone. They fit her, they fit him, they fit that giant over there, they fit me, but it's just one size too small.
Yeah, I'm on my feet all day, so it's
Mm.
kind of important that they're fit.
Okay. You both run a very hard bargain. Let me see if I can give you something else. Reaches down beneath the table and he pulls up a little bamboo box which he opens up. Inside, there is a little grasshopper, but it's black, and it speaks in tongues. Hop. Hop. Speaks in tongues. It speaks to the darkness. Just have to know how to listen.
Can I do an interdimensional knowledge check on this?
You don't trust me?
I
Okay,
don't
that's
trust
fine.
anyone, friend.
That is totally fine. You can absolutely do an interdimensional knowledge check on this.
We're gonna find out that when only one person is around, this grasshopper sings "Hello, my darling,"
Right.
"Hello, my baby."
Yeah.
Or it serves as your conscience.
All right.
That'd be a cricket, but close enough. Okay, so oh wait, oh well, I guess we'll count it, ladies and gentlemen. So Elay just rolled a 20. I was gonna tell her some things like, let's see if you want to apply any effort or any any abilities or anything like that. She just flat out rolled a 20. So here's the thing. On the roll of a 20, of course, there is a major effect that's granted. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you know something about this cricket. You sense intuitively that perhaps your dear friend, your new dear friend, Mikhail Larson, doesn't know. This cricket has the ability to calm monstrosities of an equal or lower level to it. Now, I haven't told you the level of that.
Right, it's a cricket. What could its level
Haven't
be?
you seen Men in Black?
It could be a demonic
That's true.
cricket.
Right.
So
Yes.
it is. It is black, and it is covered in this kind of like he had announced it as being, unlike any crickets you've ever seen before. So while you two are deciding whether or not you would like to take this cricket, or no, you know what? Let's settle this. Let's settle it because you rolled your 20, so let's settle this. Would you like a major effect, Elay?
Sure.
What would I have a suggestion.
I'm curious to see what your suggestion
Well,
is.
you have to tell me what yours is first, and then if I like it, I may take that over it, and then I'll also take credit for it. I like to get the player's input first so I can steal it.
You know,
You can talk to her, Francois, if you want to like help her out, because the two
yeah,
of you are
I kind of
I
convey this information
Yeah.
very discreetly
Yeah.
to Francois, so our friend
you
doesn't
two
know the
talk
true
about
value.
it. I trust Francois.
R-
I trust you as Francois's friend. I go over here and I am helping other customers. You guys go ahead and think about it. And he sort of walks off.
Okay.
So she tells me like, "Ooh, I'm getting a major hit. Like I'm feeling it today. I'm on my game. I'm really attuned with the universe. I'm picking up extra stuff." So I nudge her and I say, "See if there's because I saw your face clearly from your expression. This cricket is magical and a good buy. But like, see if you can sense whether there's a second high-powered magical item around."
Yes. This would be a good idea.
I would be willing to just give that to you as your, your major effect, unless you want to give the cricket some other or give yourself some other major effect with that roll of the 20.
I mean, I do want to see if there's something else because I'm not sure who this cricket is intended
Okay.
for.
Do you want me to give you that other thing then?
If that's possible, unless we can make the cricket perform "Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my good time."
It performs it in a strange cosmic tongue. Dark tongue you've never heard before.
Okay.
And there's a little cloud that forms over it and it begins to rain on it, like this oily, dark rain. So without even rolling, because of this 20, I'm going to say that you sense a couple piles back, like in his stall, there's a crate that's filled with all kinds of sheep's wool. Now, as you all know, and maybe as our viewers don't know though, animals are incredibly rare in this world. And so that sheep's wool is fairly valuable. And not being a sheep's wool dealer, he doesn't quite know that. And you could probably get just about any type you want. Now, that's not the magical item. That's just something you commonly know because I know it's one of your hobbies is I'm going to say either crocheting or I'm going to say
Knitting.
I'm going to say the wrong thing. I was about to say,
That's
whenever I say
okay.
it's going to be the wrong, I'm like the coin of always getting it wrong. So I knew I was going to say the wrong thing. So that's not the high-powered magical item that you sense. You sense a high-powered magical item of equal power to the cricket, to the grasshopper, in that wool, and what it is monstrosity hair that has been woven into a kind of yarn. That is also just sitting there in the pile. And the feeling you get is that, I mean, that is rarest of rare items. It has often supernatural, interdimensional properties. So, does Mikhail know that he has this in there, or could you sort through it and maybe get that as like, if he throws that in, maybe? I don't know.
Mikhail.
Yes. Oh, I am here. Oh, good. I sell you good stuff.
Hey, how much for the white stuff in the box over there?
What stuff? The yarn?
The packing
The
material, yeah.
the fluffy stuff.
Oh, the packing yarn. Oh, that stuff. Oh, I don't. That's actually we had. I have this packed in. He opens it up, and he sorts down through it, and he pulls out this little tiny sculpture. He's like, "It's packing this thing. You want all of it?"
How
Yeah,
much?
we just need some extra packing material.
Yeah.
I throw it in
Trying
for
to-
free if you want the cricket.
Cool.
I mean the
Sold.
grasshopper, whatever it is.
It's a cricket.
Demonic, supernatural. Okay, so money changes hands at this point. And just so that the viewers at home know, I'm not the sort of person that sits there worrying about like the price of everything, and we're not going to keep track of that. We're just trying to have some fun tonight. So the deal is done at this point. And so let's, with that, go to Henri and Philippe, who have made their way to Metalsmith's Row. And this is a very small corner of the marketplace. And this is, of course, equally packed, except it's very smoky here because fires are burning and repairs are being made to swords and to shields. All kinds of supernatural items are being fashioned here, not just from steel, but from items made from the macabre, which is one of the odder materials that has come out of the darkness. And the two of you are kind of like pushing your way through the crowd. And here it's a little bit gruffer because the men and women that you see here in this area are actually larger. They're bigger, they're bulkier. And those that even aren't are gruffer.
And they all smell bad.
Oh, they all smell bad. You are one of the worst offenders there, and you are met with up and down
Guilty.
respect as you make your way through those aisles. Now, let me ask the two of you. Henri, I know that you're looking for your contact, the metallurgist. I have a name in mind for your metallurgist, and I'm willing to throw it out there, but I'm also willing to take a name and maybe a description that you want to give to me. What would you like to do?
I think his name is Bruno, and he's an older guy, but he's also, given his profession, he's pretty bulky, burly dude.
Right.
He's got a bald head, but a thick bushy beard, all in black, and he's probably shaped like Danny DeVito, but just muscular.
Immense.
And yeah, and so that's Bruno.
So you don't even have to. Bruno's so short. that he's probably evolved at this point not to be spotted based on his height, simply by his smell. And as you move through the smoke-filled, hot flames and embers that are spinning and swirling through the alley, you catch his smell, that horrible odor of a man that's been working far too hard and not taken quite enough baths because he's so focused on his work. And coming out around a corner, you recognize his stall, and it's a temporary stall. It's something that he has probably been coming to this. So the carnival has been going on for 5 or 6 years now, since a year or two after the walls first went up and the cosmic flood descended on Orbis Terra. He's been coming here forever, and he's got his routine down, and you can kind of hear him hammering away at a shield as he works, and you see the sparks flying. And he's got 2 or 3 apprentices surrounding him, and they're all each working on their own projects, their own tasks, their own assignments. And there's a steady line of men and women that are bringing material to him. And you, Philippe, who are most interested, of course, in having these monstrosity parts. What was it? Was it a horn, you said, or was it a claw?
No, a spike.
A
I have a
spike.
spike. It's been bonded to my bracer, right there.
So you, who have the most kind of maybe knowledge of having these things done, having 2 different types of material bonded together, you recognize and appreciate the amount of work that he's doing. He's fashioning, like I said, he's working on a shield, which has got reinforced macabre metal that's being mixed with steel and mixed with some new lighter material and bonded. And he keeps folding it over and then bonding it and throwing it into the water, cooling it, and it hisses. And as you step up and as the queue kind of clears away, it's the 2 of you as you approach Bruno. Bruno arms the sweat from his brow, and then you see the droplets of sweat as they hit the hot anvil, and they hiss, and he steps up. He recognizes Henri, looks Philippe up and down, and he does it in that way that's, you recognize Philippe as a man evaluating another man, a man who's evaluating whether or not he could take you in a fight. He nods. He thinks you might have a small chance. Very small one, but maybe a chance. Then he looks at Henri. Henri, it is good to see you again, my friend. I am glad you bring extra business for me. What can I do for you? What have you brought me,
You're
or what
looking
can I
well.
give you?
You're looking well, Bruno. You lost some weight. Your face just seems a little thinner.
Yes, the wife. She
Yeah.
keeps me on a diet these days. I'm down to
So this
350 pounds.
This is my friend Philippe. He's known him for years, but he's got something that he needs. What is it, Philippe? Tell him what are you looking to do with that?
Wait. Before your friend talks, is this something we talk about here, or is this something we talk about maybe when I take a rest in the back?
Maybe we should take it in the back. You think, Philippe?
Your friend is
I
my
guess so. Sure.
Good to meet you, my friend. And he reaches out and he just takes your hand, or actually reaches up. He takes your hand, and it's deceptively powerful. And then he elbows one of his apprentices, and the apprentice, she takes over, and she's she's a full foot on him. And actually, she looks you up and down, and then just curls her lip, and she knows, and maybe you know too, that she stands a good chance of taking you. And then the 3 of you head into the back, take a seat by the fire, and he grabs a metal cup of cold brew, just downs it, and he offers a few to the 2 of you. So he pulls a curtain. What Henri, what does your friend bring today? What do you
Bruno, I have this spike, and this is as good a time as any
stop,
to
stop,
remind.
stop, stop, stop. I have very sensitive ears.
I
I don't need you to
jam a
shout.
spike within inches of his face because I have very poor social graces, and part of it is because he can't hear me so good in my
your helmet.
and I put the
Echoing
spike in his
around.
face, and I stick my bracer in his face, and I'm saying I want to put this here and bond it. And I understand, Bruno, that from Henri that you can help with this.
This I can do. Let me see that. He takes it. Takes a look at it. Yes, you got this outside the wall. Correct?
Yes. No.
No? Yes?
No.
Yes? What's the answer?
No.
What is it with
I
your
got
friends,
it.
Henri? Yes? No? They need a
And
coin of 50-50 divination in order
I
to
turn
succeed.
around to look at Henri and smile at him, and my hammer on my back knocks a stein off to the ground and smashes it on the ground.
No, it doesn't, because it's made out of material that I
Oh.
forged myself. It simply bounces back into my hand, and I take a drink.
How much does that cost?
I bought this from Mikael down over on Magic Row. It is Stein of Never Tip Over.
Henri,
And
we
I will
must
never
check
sell
this
it.
out. But I got this spike from adventures out on the sea inside the wall. When I was out there fighting a Leviathan, I fought this monstrosity in a ship. It was a captain or an admiral, and this fell on, and I had it, and I add things to my armor where I can.
So you want it here and here?
Yes.
In
here.
I see. All right. Well, you need this done today, I assume.
As soon as possible.
I can do this today. I would be able to do it a little bit. I can do this within a couple hours. I would be able to do it within an hour, except one of my apprentices, he has gone missing for a day. So I am sorry about that. I have not seen him today. I trust that maybe he had a little bit too much last night, and you know how it is among young people these days. But anyway, yes, this is something I can do. He quotes you a price which is a little high, but
money is no concern, and I will take off my bracer.
He shows you a few other things, and you are suitably impressed with his craftsmanship.
It's quality work.
Yes, it is absolutely quality work. So he sets it aside. He snaps his fingers, and of course, one of his 3 apprentices, the ones that have actually shown up, another one shows up, and she takes it from him, looks, and gives him a thumbs up, and then goes off to do her work. And then Bruno takes another drink. But Henri, this is not why you are here. You are here for something else, I sense.
Yes, I have something of a more delicate nature, and I reach into my pack and I pull out in a leather, a sheet of leather, wrapped up, and lay it down on the table in front of him and start peeling it open, revealing this alabaster wand that I found. And I said,
he leans back,
Bruno,
as if he were maybe taken aback slightly by it.
You know somebody who might want this, Bruno?
I do. I am not sure, though, if I want to take it to them.
50-50.
This is a dangerous thing, my friend. This
for Bruno?
He leans.
You're the toughest man I know.
Of course I am. He stands up. And you can see his eyes peeking above the table when he does so. He sits back down again on a book on his seat, and he's still at the same height. Yes, of course I am. Do you know what this is, though? Tell me where. Well, let me ask you this. Actually, where did you get this?
You know where I got it. Beyond the wall.
Where beyond the wall specifically? We're dealing in, of course, I know in general that you get things beyond the wall. I mean specifically, where did you get this?
Probably about 20 miles. Ruined temple. Underground.
In the labyrinth?
Labyrinth, maybe. Maze, whatever you want to call it.
He grunts. He leans forward as if he wants to kind of touch it, but he's hesitant to do so. And he looks at the runes. He looks around. He covers it up. Well, I could do something with it, but this is very dangerous. This stands the chance of coming back to bite you and your friend. I know what I'm doing. I keep my word and my honor. I can be trusted. But the people which I would sell this to cannot. And should I accept that, I am confident that I will be fine. But let me tell you something, my friend. We have dealt and been at business with one another for years now. I like you. You're honest. You're an honest liar. I like that. But I see a man like you, young, relative to me, and I worry about your future. Of course, none of us. Who among us has a real future trapped here behind the walls? But I worry. Are you sure this is something you would like me to take care of?
I am.
Have you
It's of no value. It's of no value to me. You know that. I can't take it to the wizards myself.
Wizards? These are not wizards. If you want a wizard, go down to Magician's Row and buy yourself a talking cricket. These,
What a useless thing that would be.
absolutely, only a fool would go through that. These are mages of the guild of the arts cosmique. These are blasphemers. They soil everything they touch. And they may do the same to you. But you are my friend. You are an adult. If you wish, I will take this item. I will find the buyer. And then I will bring you the money. But after that, it's up to you.
Do it.
He folds the cloth over and he picks it up very carefully, very delicately. He nods. He pulls a lockbox out from beneath and he places it inside the lockbox, closes it up. You'll be safe with me. Is there any other business that you wish to attend to while we're here?
Yeah. One other thing. I'd like you to make me a box.
Box? This I can do.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe 6 inches. I lost Pierre, Bruno.
Pierre?
You remember Pierre?
No, what happened to Pierre? What did you do?
Yeah, that's unfortunately part of why they need to get rid of that thing. Cost me my best friend. So I'd like a little box to remember him by with just a memento and inscribe the letter P.
Do you
in it.
have anything, perhaps, from him that you wish me to weld onto the box?
I do, and I pull out an ear. a dog's ear, and I put it on the counter. I say that's for the box.
That is something that gets to him. You know,
I too stand up and face the wall. A steer.
well, this is perhaps even too much for me, but would you like the standard ashes? Or would you like it?
Yeah,
All right,
you
then
can do that.
I can do that.
You can do that.
So with that, he pulls out another small box, and he delicately picks up the ear and he places it into the box. And he just leans in and he whispers, I assure you I will take even better care of this than that. You can trust me.
Thank you, Bruno.
No charge. So with that, I assume your transaction is over.
Yes.
So the two of you are ushered out, and immediately Bruno begins barking orders and evaluating the things that his apprentices have been working on and smacking his hand against their armor and criticizing, this should have been welded better, and that one, oh, that's crooked. And the two of you slip out and disappear into the crowds. And now at this point, all four of you, well, yeah, I'm going to say all four of you at a certain point. Can we assume that you come together, meet at a rally point of some sort? Or is there
Sure.
any business that maybe Ile and Francois or Philippe and Henri want to get up to before we bring you all back together?
No, I'm just gonna hang out waiting for my troop at the Glühwein stand.
Oh.
Drinking some Glühwein and eating some pitzels.
Oh, okay. I have to stop and ask though. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little embarrassed right now. What is a Glühwein and Patel? Is this something
Michelle
Michelle,
will explain.
Elay, young lady there in the front. I run my games, or I run my classrooms. You, please tell me.
Glühwein is a mixture of wine, typically red,
Oh.
and spices that you heat.
Oh, cool.
I actually made it during this Christmas
And
season.
Patel?
Pitzels.
That I'm not sure.
Pitzels are a
Oh,
cookie.
I thought you were talking about.
No. Pitzels cookies.
Interesting.
They're the Christmas time cookies.
All right, got it. Well, thank you very much for that, ladies and gentlemen. This is
Little flavoring.
Manufactured Myth and Legerdemain. If you like what you're seeing, please do think about liking and subscribing to the channel. Here you can learn all kinds of new vocabulary words. Thank you so much for your patronage. So with that, let's bring the four of you together. And at this point, it's safe to say that the streets in front of the Royal Game Preserve are now very much cleared. And there are guardsmen every 40 or 50 feet along the roads. And now these are the local guardsmen that I was talking about before, but of course there's a healthy sprinkling every so often of the Bastarak services members. And they are, of course, being a little bit rougher and tougher with the crowd. And looking way back toward the end of the street, you start to see the floats as they make their way down the alley. And now you can see the provost. And the provost, again, is up there, Edward Pomeroy. He's with his coterie of friends and advisors. And, of course, Sergeant Bastarak himself, the legendary guy that maybe you, Philippe, might have some problems with, is sort of overseeing what is going on. And the floats begin to come down. Now, I'm going to give you the chance at this point to sort of talk to each other. Is there anything in particular you want to do or anything you want to see? There are young people running around through the crowd. They're giving out, like, the names of the floats, and they're talking and things like that. They're selling like cotton candy and other like sugary items and drinks. And is there anything you'd like to get up to or tell each other about?
Well, just to bring them up to speed, I take my burlap sack off my shoulder and I open the top and I go, "Hey, Philippe, Henri, check out all this wool in here. It's not just sheep's wool. It's like magic fabric that LA, who's got the knitting skills, can use to our benefit. And then LA, do you want to show them the cricket?
Yeah. This is Gerald. Don't ask why he's named Gerald. It's embarrassing. But
it hops like it's punching against the little cage that it's in, and it's specifically like moving towards Philippe.
Henri and I were just discussing who would buy a cricket at the magician shop.
it's not just any cricket.
Yeah, he's got magical powers, and apparently his last owner was the Tasmanian Devil because he speaks yeah.
Or Mel Blanc.
Or Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc.
Mel
Blanc,
Blanc reincarnated.
Thank you. Thank you. Point of order, Ile. Thank you very much for that.
Does she get an XP for that?
You know what? I was about to say that. I don't want to be too generous here, but because I've already given you both an XP here to get us started off. So anything else you kind of want to exchange or talk about, or?
It's been a fairly successful day here. Shall we watch the festivities?
Sure. And I say this while I'm purchasing meats of unknown provenance and cotton candy.
Origin.
I was just gonna say cotton candy.
I'm just like take a hunk out of the meat and then cotton candy.
No. I was just going to stick to cotton candy.
So you begin to hear the royal trumpeters as they announce the start of the parade. And far down at the end of one of the streets, you can kind of see the first float come along. And it's a magnificently large thing that's being pulled by a team of draft, maybe Clydesdales, that look magnificently kept. And now this is really a remarkable sight. It has been years since anyone has seen, Clydesdale specifically, but healthy looking larger animals at all. And their manes are glistening, and their socks, as they're called, over their hooves have been brushed a beautiful snowy white color as they come clip-clopping down the road, hauling the first of what is going to be, maybe a dozen or maybe a dozen and a half floats. And there on the back of the float to start the procession is a large, essentially a papier-mâché, very heroic rendition of King Hugo Reason himself. And as the float sort of comes up the road, there are all manner of royal performers that are dancing and moving and singing around the float as it comes along. They're acrobats doing tricks. And the crowd is just absolutely in awe of what they're seeing here. And you begin to hear rumors that is King Hugo himself here today? And the more you listen, the more this kind of chatter begins to sort of build and grow. And people are just talking to one another about King Hugo, King Hugo. And as this happens, though, you begin to hear, and you're all familiar with people's attitudes. Most of the people that are here today are here to genuinely celebrate. And there are some complaints, quite a few in fact, about King Hugo and his reign and the fact that he's built the wall. And of course, he's saved Frank Reich, but at the price of isolating the entire nation to itself. And that's when the rumors start flying, and you start hearing the old, silly conspiracy theories about the fact that there really is no flood that's going on out there. And really, we live in some sort of oppressed society where King Hugo is just taxing us to death. He's just taking all of our money, and he's stealing our young men and women and sending them off to fight wars beyond this wall, and that it's all for naught, and he's just trying to take money from the people. So you see this back and forth, and at this point, I'd like to ask how each one of you maybe feels about this. I mean, some of you obviously, I know that Henri and Philippe, you've been beyond the wall. Francois and Ile, I can't, I don't know if we've ever quite discussed this, but how do you feel about the attitude toward King Hugo and the attitude toward, well, these conspiracy theories about there not really being a cosmic flood?
Well, for me, I don't like conspiracy theories about there being no cosmic flood because I can feel it, sense it. It's part of my magics. So when people say it's not real, that's like saying the air that I breathe is not real. It's annoying.
Right.
But as far as the king and the attitude, I kind of stay out of the politics of it. I'm used to being a hermit locked in a basement writing textbooks. So that kind of stuff is off my radar.
All right then. How about Ile?
Similarly to Francois, I mean, I don't care if fools want to believe stupid things. I mean, I grew up beyond the wall. I saw what the monstrosities did. I have severed heads of monstrosities and plopped them onto people's desks. Like, guys. But I'm also not trying to re-educate these people because nothing I say is going to convince them. But as far as King Hugo goes, he's fine. He enacted some policies that affected the poor people, like where I grew up, in a negative way. And it was already difficult. And then with the flood, it just wiped out a lot of people. So I don't have a whole lot of kind feelings towards him, but I'm not going to talk smack about him on his parade.
You're not going to rain on it, you're saying?
Nah.
Philippe and Henri, any particular opinion? Of course, you do know that the cosmic flood exists and there is this devastation outside the wall.
There is death outside the labyrinth. It is not elegant. It is not celebratory. It is a misery, and we have rescued people, and we have seen people butchered out there. It is difficult to celebrate, and the people who say it is not true, they have no idea.
Henri?
Yeah, I don't have any respect for these conspiracy theorists. They're fools. They don't recognize what's really going on. As far as the king goes, he pays Louis VA. Louis VA pays me. I'm good with him.
All right. So as you kind of allow these rumors to go in one ear and out the other and do your best to sort of grit your teeth and let fools be fools, the parade continues onward. And you can actually see now, as you look up at the grandstands and the bleachers and the seating box, that the provost is maybe a little upset by this talk. So you would know that, of course, Frank Reich is a kingdom, and of course the ultimate ruler here is the king. But the kingdom of Frank Reich is more an assembly of 5 different very large cities that are kind of in different corners of the nation. And then there's one large nation, or there's one large city, Braves, which is the city that you're in currently, and it's overseen by a man appointed by the king, and that, of course, is the provost. And so the provost is pretty much the ultimate representative here, and there might even be a little bit of a tinge of jealousy that he is not the one whose whose float, which is coming up, isn't quite getting as many cheers and isn't quite getting as much attention. But of course, there is the provost himself and his group of local performers artisans that are singing and dancing as this next float goes by. Do you guys have any opinion? And I know that I've kind of sprung the provost on you here out of nowhere, but I was just wondering if do you feel any sort of allegiance or loyalty one way or another, either to the king or to the provost or to no one at all? Any feelings on the provost?
Is he aligned with Bastarak?
Well, why don't you? This sounds like the sort of thing that you might want to roll for. You see Sergeant Bastarak, who is actually up there folding his arms across his chest, and he's looking down on the crowd. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your history, a little bit about what you know about Braves, a little bit about what you know about Bastarak, the military, maybe even Louis VA, who's someone you commonly work for, and then we'll roll on this.
What I know is that Bastarak is known throughout the king's army as a bootlicker, someone who may have worked his way up through the back channels, maybe even murdered to get where he is today. He is not honorable. Those of us who have served in and outside the wall, we know this, we feel this. It just feels diseased. And what he has done now in his private life, forming this army of mercenaries with no honor, it is just further reflection upon him.
So
So
how is it
yes.
then? Let's make your roll and see how you feel about what you see about the relationship, the way that Bastarak services are interspersed within the crowd, the way the soldiers are. We'll count your knowledge as a vet and all that, just as an easement right there, right off the bat. Do you want to use any abilities? Well, I'll count that as an ability. Do you want to use an asset or perhaps apply some effort in order to ease this task more?
I'll apply a level of intellect
Level of
effort just
intellect.
because I'm really trying to map this out.
Mm-hmm.
Could I use my knowledge because I have knowledge of Braves?
As an
Could I
assist?
use my knowledge as an assist?
Or you can make a separate roll. It's up to you guys. Because the two of
I
you would be
think
kind of mingling together
yeah.
and yakking. So
Yeah, I think we would be kind of talking about
He
it.
heard
and
me
I-
mumbling.
yeah, why don't you both make?
And I also wanted to comment, Philippe. This Bakhtarak guy, is he? He used to be in the King's Army,
He was.
right?
He was.
He was sergeant.
And then now he's got this mercenary company. Is there a reason why the King's Army can't raise its own people and they need to rely on these mercenaries?
Well, there is a privateer organization for everyone who's willing to pay for it. And we don't know what his motivations are. We just know he's here. He is outside of the King's Army and outside of all of the smaller military and policing forces. I think he has his own motivations, but I do not know what those are.
And do you think he's loyal to Pomeroy over the king?
That could be the case. I feel I should roll for it.
A sense. All right. So we'll use your knowledge. You're going to apply a level of effort. Anything else?
I'm good with that.
Okay. And then Henri is going to do a separate roll in just a moment, correct?
Oh, you want me? Okay, you want me to roll?
I don't
That's
know.
fine.
I'm just asking. Would you like to assist or make a separate roll?
Oh, I'm happy to roll. I'm happy to roll.
Henri, 2 rolls are better than 1.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking
That's
that
right.
looking at it from different angles, you both have kind of a unique
Sure.
angle. So go ahead, Philippe, and go ahead and make your roll with 2 easements. Rolling a 9 on that one. So your knowledge tells you that, first of all, you can see the friction between Bastarak services and between the local military. They're not very happy to be working together. You also notice that Bastarak services seems to be mostly concentrated around Pomeroy and his entourage or his coterie of companions and friends.
Is it in a defensive position or more of a keeping an eye on?
Your evaluation is that it's not it wouldn't be unusual for them to be protecting him specifically at larger
Okay.
functions. And one thing, yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. Now, Henri, from your perspective, and maybe
Mhm.
what you know, having been outside the wall, and of course having some knowledge, of course, of Braves, um, I'll count your knowledge as one easement.
Mhm.
Any effort and any.
So just explain. I just because I'm not clear. My effort level is 3. So what does that do?
So if you have an effort level of 3, that means that you can ease the task by up to 3 levels. And what you do is whenever you roll using effort, each level of effort that you apply costs 3 points. Now, you have an edge in your intellect.
Hmm.
So your edge
I
may be
do.
1, 2, or 3. Instead of costing 3 points, if you have an edge of 1, it only costs you 2 points. When you have an edge of 2, it only costs you 1 point. So
So if I use a level of I use effort, I can choose to do a single level of effort or 2 levels of
up
or up to 3
up
levels of
to
effort.
3.
Got it. I'll just use 1
1 and your knowledge. Would you like to?
and my
Okay,
knowledge.
and now you can use a third thing, an asset. Is there an object or something you have? Maybe an angle, a physical angle that you're at, or something like that, that you would.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that I have that would really apply to something like this.
Okay, that's all right. So we'll ease
So
the task by
yeah.
2. Go ahead and make your roll, please. A
12.
12. Your assessment is pretty much from the same angle as Philippe's was. You recognize certain things. You notice that Bastarak is definitely, the service company is definitely kind of like forming some sort of a protective barrier around Pomeroy. Um, and the only thing
Could
maybe,
I
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, could I ask if my answer, if it's a success, can come from knowledge of underworld connections that Bostarak may have?
Ooh, now that actually sounds very, very interesting here. Um, let's make that another roll. Let's take a
Okay.
moment out of our time because I think in this particular case, you would have to go out there and kind of engage with the crowd or engage in the, like get in, sneak into a dark alley somewhere or something to talk to some people in the underworld. Now, let's do this. Elaine and Francois, I don't want you to feel left out in any of this. So if you feel like you have some sort of knowledge to add or something you want to do, what we're really trying to do is we're basically trying to figure out why is it that Bastarak services are here? Why are they working with Pomeroy rather than the locals? You're free to intervene, so just keep that in mind. And it's okay if you don't want to, because I'll be getting to everybody in just a moment. But Henri, any ideas about how to get to this source and how to get the down low on what's going on?
Well, I mean, I have many, contacts within the, seedier elements in the community. And so maybe I'll find somebody that I recognize on the street and ask them if they know, how did this guy get to wiggle his way into the good
Into
graces and
Pomeroy's
into
employ.
Pomeroy's kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. Okay. So go ahead. So we'll count your knowledge. Are you
Hmm.
applying effort again?
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
then
I'm going to do
just one or
one level of effort. And
13.
ooh,
Just
that's 13.
rolling a little bit better, not too much. I will say this. There are mumblings and rumors that something something is amiss today. That's all I'll say. What is it? I don't know. Don't bother me. I'm having a drink here in the dark alley. Why are you talking to me? You're making it very obvious that we're working together. You're supposed to be my secret contact. And then the gentleman or the gentle lady that you were talking to fades into the shadows.
Now, just a quick question, and I don't think this is a role type question, but what percentage of Bosterok's men to guardsmen?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I like this question so much. Um, there is, let's just say that it's a much smaller, it's a few platoons of Bastarok's men. And we're talking about the rest of Braves is being held back. There are like tens of thousands of people. I think I had mentioned that it's almost approaching like 100,000. So it's like the locals and even maybe some, you see guardsmen from like, and guardswomen from other neighboring areas that have come in and maybe been just sort of spun up in order to work. So it's a very small amount, right? Just a couple, maybe a couple platoons.
Okay.
Now, Ile and Francois, is there anything, I don't mean to linger, but I also don't mean to ignore you or anything. Is there anything,
No, you're good.
is this sort of piquing your interest at all, or are you just sort of enjoying the parade or not enjoying it?
I do want to get Francois involved by knocking the medieval fair turkey leg from his grip and say, "Do you see his armor? Do not look at it too long, but do you see it? It is mystical and magical."
And you can see as you look at it, looking at the armor that Bosterok services members is more like looking at negative space. So it's almost like it takes you a moment. You kind of have to blink a bit before your eyes can focus on it. It is the deepest black, and then occasionally as you move, you can kind of see sunlight. Well, there isn't really sunlight. There's the tiny rays of light that bring hope between the dark clouds that hang above the city. You see it reflecting off of the armor. And as a matter of fact, you know what, Philippe? Give yourself 1 XP. You start to see the first little flip-plops of rain. Francois sees it because Philippe, you've just pointed it out to him. Francois starts to see flip-plops of rain beating up on that armor even before you see it on your own clothing. And taking a look, you have to blink a bit. And this is not something you have to roll for, but you have to blink a bit because it looks discolored. The raindrops look discolored as they hit that armor, and of someone, we'll say, just standing like 10, 15 feet away from you, and you're kind of watching him with your side eye because you don't want to get on his bad side. Ile or Francois, anything you're going to kind of...
Yeah,
No,
I have
Go ahead, Ile.
sorry. I have a special ability of investigative skills. So I think I'm gonna use my assessing danger section because I'm noticing their discomfort and how, someone's got this sort of weird expression after staring at this guy for too long. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
this is weird. So yeah,
So
let's
we'll use
do that.
Do you want to apply any effort?
Yeah, I'll apply a little
1 level
effort.
of effort, so deduct
Let's
3
do one
or
more.
whatever your edge is, take that off. And then would you like to use some sort of, do you have some sort of token or something, an object on you that would aid you in your assessment?
Other than a silver mirror, I'm not sure if anything would
I will
help.
count the mirror. I'll in
Okay.
fact, like, maybe you're able to sort of angle that mirror so you can walk up a little bit closer than you otherwise might, like so that you're sort of facing away, but really you're actually looking at, the, the armor. So I'll count that. Go ahead
Okay.
and make your roll with 3 easements.
All right. And roll.
Did it work? Oh, Perfect.
Let me see. Oh, here we go.
Oh, a 3.
I know.
You just see the rain is coming down now. Before you can actually get a very good look into the depths of that armor. What you really see is, or you're all hit with kind of a heavy rain, and there's a storm cloud, or a cloud, I should say, that rolls in overhead. And you see a lot of like the people that are waiting as the floats are going by are starting to pull up like burlap sacks or their costumes. They're trying to keep them dry, and there a lot of people who maybe didn't come prepared for rain are actually just maybe running off to the sides. And you can see that Pomeroy. Oh, there we go. Elay came prepared. We see that Pomeroy. Um, I should give you an extra point for XP, but I can't just keep giving XP out. That's fantastic. That is full on cosplay,
that one
ladies and
merits
gentlemen.
it, though. Yeah.
So there are people in costume running off into the recesses of the buildings and storefronts in order to sort of get in out of this rainfall that's settling in. And you even see Pomeroy as he stands and he looks at his assistants who just immediately move to like start like they move these devices where they start cranking and awning out over him, and he clearly doesn't look happy. His eyes keep darting back and forth to like his float, which is now progressing down the street, and now there's a definite heavy rain that's falling. And it seems that the parade is being, unfortunately, rained on at this point. And so the floats continue, and they come one after another after another. And then at a certain point, after maybe half an hour or so, they start to sort of slow down, and you can see that the dancers and performers are doing their best, and they're trying, and you can kind of see this, and the crowd is maybe trying to keep themselves pepped up, but there are members of the crowd now that seem a little unhappy with what is going on here. Like the crepe paper decorations, like of these beautiful like floats, animal floats, is starting to it's all wilting, and now it's almost like the hope that this Day of the Green brings each year is just slowly wilting before their eyes. And you can see that the provost is clearly not happy with this, and he looks like he's scrambling and telling people to do certain things and other things, and people are just shaking their heads, and there's nothing that can really be done in this situation. And slowly the parade begins to slow down. Now, again, I don't mean to tell anyone what to do, but is anyone doing anything at this point, or are you? You don't have to. Just asking.
Does anyone want to do a sense magic check, if that's possible?
I have sense magic, but I also have identifying, understanding, supernatural, and I think that's probably the more useful here. So I'm gonna roll for it.
Count that as 1. Do you want to apply any effort?
Nah.
Okay. Why? We've been rolling so well all night. Why apply effort? We've been rolling nothing but 20s.
Actually, it's an intellect, right? And I have an edge of 3, so applying effort costs me literally nothing.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So
Do you
applying
want to apply
effort.
a second level for 2 points?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 3. So I'm easing the task by 3.
And now I'm getting just a shaking screen. It's thinking.
There we go.
13.
Yeah, you guys are just rolling 13s tonight. I feel like there's something up with the AI. But at this point,
I did a 3 just now, so
that's true.
You've also rolled a 20.
Yes, and a 20. So at this point, though, we're using an online dice roller, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. Anyway, and maybe this may be the last time we ever do this, based on our rolls. But with a 13, I'll give you this. You look down at the swirling pools and puddles that are forming in the streets as you step through it. And when you take a step, you see a swirl coming out of the epicenter of your step. Kneeling down, it's red. Turn your hand up, looking at the palm, and what appears to be some sort of red liquid mixed in. The rain is falling. And now, Francois, as you look up, you notice, looking at these floats, that the floats are being streaked and dyed with a red color. It's very faint, but it's there. Maybe even you take a few steps up to one of the last ones to pass. It's being streaked and wilting in red. And the people are raising their hoods and covering their faces in order to keep the water out of their eyes and the rain out of their eyes. And someone turns to you, and you actually look at Henri and Elay, and what you see is red streaking down, washed out and thinned sides of their faces.
Is it something that they can see, or is it only my
Do you say it? Do you mention it
sensing
to them?
supernatural? Yeah, I would just ask them. Are you guys seeing red streaking down everybody's faces, or is that just me?
Henri and Elay. Henri, you don't, but Elay, you do. Now as you look around, you can see this red is streaking down from the sky. As you look up, all four of you maybe, that cloud seems particularly low above you. Is that a cloud? And now, at this point, the crowd begins to sort of cross the street as the parade is closing up now and the last few floats are going. And then there's a rumbling that comes through the crowd. And people start moving aside, and the crowd starts to clear again. And you can see the military forces, not Bastarak services because they're down here beside you, but the military forces are clearing the crowd, or they're trying to
Keep them orderly.
Yeah, keep them orderly, and they're left standing in the middle of the road as this very last float of an ashen color that is streaked with what looks like almost a dark oil, and is, well, looking at it, it looks like it's a large thing hunched over. Is anyone doing anything at this point? The crowd's starting to disperse, and you can start to hear like little screams and sounds.
I would like to look closely at that float to see if it is a float or if it is a creature.
Looking at it, you're not even going to have to roll for this. It's what would be known as a behemoth. And Philippe, you would know that a behemoth, and I think you already know this, but I'll just sort of like to get it quick here. A behemoth is kind of like a monstrosity out of the darkness, but it's a rather
they're not typically dangerous.
Typically, no. And they happen to sort of wander into the city from time to time because it was impossible. Of course, the walls went up, but there were some creatures, monstrosities that got through the walls before the walls went up. And now they roam, tens of thousands of square miles of land. And not every single one of them was ever wiped out. And every so often they make their way into the city. But here's the thing. This thing is being ridden by someone. And marching beside them are almost marionette-ish looking humanoid creatures. And now, as this is happening, the crowd begins to you can hear screams from the frightened people in the crowd as this float, which is not really a float, slowly marches forward, and it raises its head to you, or it raises its head up and roars into the air. And what you see is a long trunk that extends from the front of the thing, black eyes, and then dozens of tentacles, each its own nose or its own proboscis or whatever the hell it is, just trumpeting up into the sky. And this gets everyone's attention, and you can feel the ground shaking as this thing steps forward, and the crowd begins to scream. And now that rain that Elay and Francois were talking about, mumbling about, is now clear to be seen by everyone, you too, Philippe and Henri. And that rain is a rain of blood coming from a very unnatural looking, supernatural looking cloud, hundreds of feet above the parade. And you can see at this point, Bastarak Services kind of tightens their perimeter around Pomeroy. And the King's Army, well, the local army and maybe some members of the King's Army, at first are a little confused by this. Are any of you going to do anything at this point?
Is the behemoth sticking to the parade route, or is it?
Very well
He
trained.
just wants to follow the other big, fluffy little like creatures
This ain't
that
fluffy,
are walking in line.
Elay. This thing ain't
It's-
fluffy.
No,
Heading
but
past
the
Macy's.
floats might be.
It is
according to
actually.
the behemoth.
It's quite seems quite well trained, and now as it with each lumbering step that this thing takes, you can feel the cobblestones beneath you in the street. You each bounce up, and on top of it is this figure with dark horns that turn, and that's got almost like it looks like a mask, a skeletal, long, extended mask with teeth that are at least a foot long and large white eyes, extending its arms.
I'm going to break away from this group in a angle to intercept this behemoth.
So you
And
can,
I'm going to unhook my hammer.
get your hammer ready. Anyone else?
I see Philippe make his break towards it, and I cast distortion on him as a little bonus because I see he's getting into a fight that he might need some help with.
Can you tell us what distortion does real quick, just in a sentence or two? So everybody
Yeah,
knows.
distortion it makes it hard for him to see, for others to see him.
Thank you.
So he shifts back and forth between like looking normal and just being a black spot. And it gives an asset to speed defense rolls.
And Philippe, you instantly, because you've worked with Francois many times before,
I feel the tickle.
as you're cutting through the crowd, you do feel that tickle deep in your belly. Woohoo! It's like hitting a belly bump in a car. And then you shoulder into someone who turns. Watch where you're fucking going. Where'd he go? And then you just keep moving through. Whoever it was that you just rudely bumped into has just completely, you've disappeared and shifted out of existence to that person. Anyone else? Now this leader and the at least a dozen or so minions, we'll call them for now, who are dressed in a very similar fashion, come walking along, heading towards the end of the route. Is anyone else going to do anything?
I will also try to get closer, but I have a stealth skill, so I want to do it where I'm kind of ducking behind things and trying not to be spotted.
I'm going to say that neither you, Philippe, nor Henry Henri, have to roll for this, because at this point the crowd is such a mess, and you are able to kind of cut in and get a little bit closer. Everybody's going in the opposite direction. You're the only two fellows, the only two people besides perhaps the military types that are actually like turning toward this thing. The others are kind of trying to clear out, and they're stepping back as this happens. Ilay, up to anything or?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of curious to see what this writer is, what his intentions are. Am I familiar with the writer type? Like, do I recognize the armor?
I like these questions. Do you want to go ahead? Do you have some sort of knowledge that would aid you in this?
I have interdimensional knowledge.
Got it.
Let's see what else. I also have identifying.
Well, you can only use,
Not
from what I
sure.
understand, you use one ability, and I know I'll get a billion comments if I'm wrong on this, but we'll try it just for tonight. You can use one
That's okay.
ability, one asset, and then, you know, the effort you can apply up to, like, I believe it's.
Okay, let's just go with the interdimensional knowledge. Apply one effort.
Got it. Go ahead and make your roll. Baby needs a new
Okay.
pair of shoes with this one.
One
Yeah.
size too small.
One size too small.
No.
Those would have been beautiful. They were indestructible shoes, by
Oh.
the way. We're just not
No.
bringing it together tonight. Looking at it, you don't recognize this at all. This does not seem like anything you've seen before or are familiar with.
Can the viewers see our rolls?
Yes, they
Do
can.
they know that she rolled a 2?
Yep,
Okay.
they absolutely can. Oh, though maybe I should announce it in case for those viewers that are either visually impaired or maybe not watching. If you're just listening to the audio, Ilay did roll a 2. I apologize. In the future, I'll do my best to make announcements about those rolls for everybody. So with a roll of a 2, unfortunately, as I was saying, you don't really get anything out of that. And now at this point, the behemoth has stopped, and it lumbers to a stop, and then just it sits its butt down, and the entire street shakes when the thing hits the ground. And at this point, Bastarak Services, they are moving into a perimeter, and it looks like Pomeroy at this point doesn't want to get out of there, but they're trying to wrestle him away. And the person on top of the behemoth, male or female, human or non-human, whatever, natural or supernatural, dimensional or interdimensional, raises their hands. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first step of the revolution. And with that, they raise their hand and point directly at Pomeroy. And the moment that happens, Pomeroy, who's trying to like stick around and hear what's happening, just turns around, reverses himself, and starts to run out. And he's ushered out by Bastarak Services. And then this host on the back, the rider on the back of the behemoth, begins a long speech about how for far too long the people of Braves and the people of Frank Reich have been under the thumb of our dear blessed Savior and King, Hugo Reason, and his little minions, Provost Pomeroy, and the dozens of others around Frank Reich. Tonight, all of that starts to come to an end. And then with that, she raises her hands, and from the sky, things start to drop. Looking down, something hits the ground beside you, and you look, and you realize there's an ear And then you look there, and an eyeball hits the ground and bounces and rolls into a puddle. Then a finger over there. And people are screaming now as maybe a head finally comes down. And raining down out of the sky, out of that cloud, seem to be body parts. And the crowd begins to go crazy. The crowd begins to move out of the way. And the rider holds up her hands. Do not fear. Do not worry. We are here for you. We are here for you, dear people of Frank Reich. And tonight, the revolution begins. And with that, the minions that are surrounding charge Pomeroy in the stands. And there's way too many of them for Bastarak services. And they do their best to hold them off, but you can kind of see as they start to cut through. And they start to climb up those bleachers. They pound through them, and some of them get knocked over. People start scattering and running in all directions. And now more body parts and a harder rain of blood begins to come down out of the sky. And beneath it all, the rider, even though you can't see their face, you just know the rider is smiling, looking around, satisfied in their work. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, and at this moment, we are going to take a brief 10-minute biological break. I'm going to put up a countdown, but we will be back in 10 minutes, and we hope that you will be here with us to continue the adventure. If you like what you've seen so far, please do think about liking and subscribing. And as I said before, please do think about telling a friend, sharing this, Reddit, YouTube. Well, actually, you don't want to share it on YouTube because we are on YouTube. Facebook, Twitter, anywhere is great. And we would very much appreciate it. We will see you all in 10 minutes. Please stick around for the end of tonight's adventure. Okay.
Eric's rocking the Santa mug.
Later, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We are back. Thank you very much for sticking with us. I appreciate your viewership, and I just want to say before we sort of start the second half here, which may be actually a little bit quicker than a half, that I very much, I was talking to my friends, I very much appreciate having them here and participating in this stream. Like, I think it's really nice to have these folks to depend on and to show up and do all this stuff. I kind of, when I started the stream earlier on, I don't want to I kind of want to dive in and just stay in character and all that. But now that we've had a chance to take a break and all that, I wanted to acknowledge the work that they do and the fun that they bring and the creativity that they bring to the stream. So thank you guys for that. But things just got real. So I'm going to step back for just a moment, and we're going to kind of take this in maybe bullet time or maybe a little bit of slow motion. I'm going to give the 4 players who have not talked about anything during the break, and that is absolutely 100% entirely true. Nothing related to the story anyway. I'm going to give them a moment to discuss what's going on, how they feel about this, and what sort of action they would like to take, and that may include roles. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, please discuss what is it that you would like to do, or what are you thinking at this point?
Well, my first thought is when you introduce sort of like an entourage that was participating in the beginning, you had the provost and the king. There was also the head of the Arts Cosmique, the head mage, and
Guild of the Arts Cosmique.
guild. Yes, the Guild of the Arts Cosmique, and that would be someone. That would be the one person out of the group that I actually care about and pay attention to, because that would be the person who fired me for not towing the line and
Here
being a
we
company
go.
man.
So you may be looking. Are you saying you may look the other way if he comes under or she comes under attack?
Well, also just like in general, that's where my attention would tend to focus on. So as all this chaos breaks out and I see where the provost is, I'm kind of looking around going, where's the mage? Where's LaFlame?
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned.
So why don't you tell me a little? I have an idea of who LaFlame is, but I love it when the players build the story together. When we build it together. Would you like to tell me anything about LaFlame?
LaFlame was
Could be male, could be female. Could be.
Oh, well, I was going to say micromanaging hard ass, but
there we go. I like that better. Why should we identify people? What is gender? We're talking about personality here. That's the character and personality. So tell us, micromanaging
hard ass, the kind of person who's like constantly testing your loyalties kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever had a boss like this, but sometimes they just will name a sports team just to make sure that you like the same sports team or something like that. Just that kind of person who's like, are you with us or against us? Very black and white, up in my face. And I'm like, I'm just here to write the textbooks and be neutral on everything. Like, students need to learn, and I'm not going to decide whether what they're learning is good or they're learning what learning is bad. It's like you got to teach it and hope that they right, and one way or the other, teach it and then they know what to avoid, or teach it and then they know what to do. So I'm very like just present information, but LaFlame was really up my butt about like you know, you got loyalty to the guild, you know, and I was not a fan. And then when I got into that fight with a private citizen and wound up stabbing somebody, that's because I'm a surly guy. That was the end of my career.
So at this point, you can see that LaFlame, of course, Bostrak Services is trying to move Pomeroy, shuttle him away. But LaFlame is kind of like narrowing their eyes. And I just say they because at this point, their gender remains neutral. Their hood pulled down. And they're leveling their gaze at the behemoth and the rider. And at this point, ignoring the flood of minions that are starting to climb and make their way up the stands. And as Bastarak Services is sort of holding them back, and now they've drawn their weapons and they're engaging, and the two of them are going at it. They're taking a good look at what's going on. So that is the image that you have of LaFlame at this point. If you want anything more than that, you're going to have to roll for it or...
Yeah, I think I'm going to roll because I at least want to know LaFlame's gender.
Okay, and we'll say with this, Philippe and Henri, I know that you had both snuck into the crowd. So at this point, you're kind of threading your way, and I was giving you this for free. You can sort of make your way through the crowd. Elay, we're going to hop to you in just a moment and take care of whatever it is that you'd like to take care of. But go ahead, Francois. So your knowledge, I mean, obviously, of having been in the guild will count for one easement. Do you want to apply effort, and do you have some sort of a...
Well, it's an intellect roll, so applying effort costs me nothing. Might as well.
There you go. So
with my 3 edge.
You want a second level, or it's up to you.
Yeah, sure.
That's 2 points, so you can deduct 2 for that.
Okay.
And then do you have any sort of an asset, like a physical object on you? And at this point, this is our first game.
Don't.
I mean, if you want to, negotiate with me for some sort of item you might have taken or some sort of historical artifact you may have picked up, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know. The mystical hair wool, interdimensional. Does it increase my wizardly powers if I'm holding it?
Well, as Mikhail would
If I'm
tell
away
you,
from-
or actually I
No.
should say, as Bruno would say, they ain't wizards. There ain't no
Right,
wizards. They
mages.
the damn mages.
My
So
magely abilities.
I would say at this point probably not, because you really haven't had a good chance to look at it, and that was something that Elay had noticed, and maybe Elay might be better suited to use that item than
Cool.
you at this point. So we'll just ease it by 3, and you want to make your roll?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, give it a try.
Oops. Ah,
What the?
that
I
was
think
weird.
you rolled twice. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you want, we can do this. I'll let you roll again. We'll erase that. We'll just call it a brand new roll if you'd like to do that, or you can take the 14. It's going to be very nice because it's Friday night and I've had 2 drinks.
I'll roll again.
Okay. You should have kept it.
Should have kept it.
So looking at LaFlame. I'll just say that LaFlame seems fairly confident. That's all you pick up.
Okay.
Elay?
I've been, casting on some stitches with the needles, just like, well, I don't really know what to do at this point. I'm just gonna start knitting something.
Mm-hmm.
So have a little piece about yay big.
So the blood is falling from the sky. Body parts are falling every so often around you. Everyone is running back and forth as if everyone's pants were on fire. However, you are the eye of the storm, calm, knitting.
Blood and guts is nothing I haven't seen before.
No, you've caused blood and guts. You're just knitting. What are you knitting? Can you be specific about this, or is there some like some sort of aid, some sort of useful object, or
I have my needles. I have what else?
gotta tell us what you're knitting.
You know what? I'm just starting like a little start of a sock with some cables in it.
Socks are challenging to knit. I'm impressed.
This will be for you.
And Philippe says that, and he's got like he's knit like his glove into a sock, and like his sock into a glove, and now it all makes sense. Like all
I
the
have
planets
many
align.
hats.
You're like, oh, I get it. And then his hat is actually a big sock, sideways, and his socks he has hats on, or something, or his feet he has hats on. All right. Do you want to actually roll for the sock that you're knitting?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll
So
for that.
we've got your knowledge, or I should say your ability in knitting. Are you going to use, of course, oh, you're sewing, or I'm so sorry. I forget what they're called. The knitters. What are they
Yeah.
called?
The knitting
Knitting needles.
or yes, knitting needles.
Knitting needles. Okay. You were testing me on
Okay.
that. So the knitting needles are your asset. And then would you
Yes.
like to apply any effort?
Yeah, I'm gonna apply some effort.
And you're knitting with that cosmic monstrosity hair, correct?
Yes.
Okay, got it. An effort, right? 1 or 2?
Yes.
Or 1? 2?
Let's do 1.
Okay. Go ahead and make your roll.
Want to save a little bit. Come on, dice. 19.
19. You get a minor effect with this. So as you're knitting, not only are you knitting one hell of a good sock, fits exactly one size too small for anyone. Actually, one size too big for anyone.
No,
In the threads and yeah, it's like runs.
that sounds
It's a cell.
worse.
I know, right? That is worse. I'll give you the choice because it's a 19. You get a minor effect with this, and I'll say that as you look into the threads and the patterns, you start to see something. Is there anything in particular you would actually like to see in the threads? And then I'll tell you what, within reason.
Maybe like a sort of shimmer, some light kind of bleeding through, and also darkness and mist.
So you see into the threads. And what you realize is that you're seeing a vision of what's happening right now, except you're seeing it from a different angle. And as you look into the threads and the patterns and the weave, you can see that the flame is glowing red hot as if they were possessed of darkness, dark energy, dark forces. But the rider that is now clambering down from the top of the behemoth has no magical traces to be seen. And you look at the threads and then you look up from what you're weaving and you can see this now so clearly and you wonder why it was that you hadn't seen it before. But apparently LaFlame is the real deal. LaFlame deals in dark magic, but the rider is human, or at least not of the darkness and not of the light as well. So with that, that's going to be your moment. Let's go back to Philippe and Henri, who have threaded their way through the crowd and they're kind of getting a better look. Are the two of you up to anything at this point?
Yes. I just need to know one thing. Where they are.
Who is they? You're looking for,
Monstrosities are in Frank Reich. And the people are alarmed, and I am trained for this. And I am going towards that behemoth, even though it's just a docile eldritch elephant. I am going to clobber it.
As you move toward it, it's simply sitting. And looking at it, it looks almost sad. And when I say sad, I don't mean literally it's crying. What I mean is it's older. It's past its prime. It's not an alpha. It's not even a beta or a Charlie. It's an elderly eldritch elephant, in your words, that's simply being used. And
so what letter of the alphabet is it? Like how far in? Is it like a G or a H?
So Henri, deduct 1 XP, please.
Yeah.
Oh, unfair.
Make it 2. I'm just kidding. The eldritch, it sits on its butt, as clambering down off of it, of course, is the rider, who has that mask and has those horns. And now the rain comes down on them. And the way they move, and even the other minions, they're good, they're military, but they're not eldritch, they're not supernatural, they're not of the darkness. Henri, let's go to you. What are you up to?
So just to clarify, so that rider is now descending on the on the back of that beast, like into the street?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to size up the minions that are chasing, that are going up towards Pomeroy.
I like this.
And just see if I can. I think it's called like find weakness or something,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe find the flaw is what
Yep.
it is, and I want to see like what, maybe fighting style or
Yep.
what they are.
All right. So you have find the flaw. Do you want to apply effort?
No, I don't think it's that important.
Okay. Go ahead and make your roll.
So I will roll. Oh, 18.
All right. Second half of the game. You guys are like the Kansas City Chiefs. With an 18, your first thought is these are human. Every
Mhm.
single one of these minions, including the rider, are human. And now as the rider descends, lands on the cobblestone streets, and strides with probably too much confidence behind a wall of minions that just sweep forward as the crowd sort of parts around them. And now as Pomeroy is being pulled back, and as LaFlame just stares down confidently, you can almost see LaFlame sneering. Their weakness is that they're human. And the way they're moving tells you, well, they're being manipulated, not through magic, probably through their own confidence, through something they've been told or something they believe.
What are they armed with?
They're mostly armed with short swords,
Mhm.
staffs, and that's
And are they like in like cultist robes, or can I see if they're
no.
wearing armor?
They look well. Looking at them just straight flat out, they are wearing darkly assembled. I don't want to say a uniform, but there's some uniformity to what they are wearing, as if they were trying to put together. And again, this is a roll of an 18, so it's almost like they're trying to put together some sort of uniformity in order to appear as if they were a force.
All right.
And you know what? I'm actually going to give you a little bit more because you did your check before all of this happened. You talked to, hey, don't, why are you standing so close to me? People are gonna know I'm an informant for you. Don't, tell anyone about it. But, and now we flash back to that moment where someone is telling you, oh, don't, come on now, you're gonna get me in trouble with, you know, with those guys, those people that are gonna do that thing in that place. And he disappears into the darkness, and what you realize is they're revolutionaries. This is an underground organization of revolutionaries unhappy, just as the writer was proclaiming. And they do appear to be human at this point, but if that's true, what about the blood raining from the sky? What about the body parts? Where is that all coming from? Why are they here? And why is it they seem to be under the impression that, well, something else is going on? That's all I'm going to give you, even though it's a lot.
There's a lot.
I tend to run at the mouth.
Where's that smack talking coin when you need it?
I know, right? Fling. That would have won the whole game.
We should have brought that.
Instead, you picked a cricket that speaks in tongues.
Hey now.
You can hear it. It's like
Gerald's
jumping
very
out, like punching
important.
at its kid. But now it's like jumping out and toward LaFlame, Mage LaFlame. So at this point, what is it that everybody would like to do? We kind of cycled through all of this and we've slowed time down a little bit. This is like just a portrait, a moment in time, just 10, 20 seconds maybe at the most. But they are storming the grandstands, Pomeroy is being unceremoniously yanked out the back end by Bastarik services. And
hmm
you
Well,
folks,
I have a tendency to keep an eye on Elay's magic because whatever she can figure out is always helpful to me and vice versa. Or in breaking the fourth wall terms, I rolled a 9 and she rolled a 19. so, so
thank you,
I
She-Hulk.
would yeah. So I would confer with her about what she got in her knitting patterns
Yeah.
and what
Yes.
I'd get a quick back and forth, get a briefing from her, and she would
Yeah.
tell me what I wasn't able to figure out about LaFlame.
Yeah.
From that, I'm sprinting full tilt towards the provost. As Bostrok's men are moving him away, I want to tell him to change orders.
I'm sorry.
Wait,
Let me
wait.
say change orders. Is this a military term? We're dealing with an ex-military fellow right now, ladies and gentlemen, who may have
Well,
used
in military terms, it would be a frago, a fragmentary order.
Sure,
which
a frago.
a
Of course.
frago.
Thank you for
That
explaining that.
clarifies
I now
everything.
understand exactly what you're saying. Thanks a lot, meathead. Not. And let me just say something too. Not one military, two militaries.
Oh ho ho.
Army, National Guard. So
Right.
I have no idea
Active
where all of
and
this.
guard.
Yeah. Okay. So. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's both army.
What is it?
But basically, like, he's in charge of the Bastarok's forces, and they're protecting him. But I just want to say, hey, like, don't have them shoving you out of the public sphere. You want to redirect your men and have them attack.
Okay.
Because there's a very specific target.
So of course Eric Whitmer is ex-military. Francois Bernard is not. So what would Francois Bernard say or convey to them in mage terms or ex-mage terms?
Yeah, in ex-mage terms. I mean, I would know, like, the mages train for, like, magical combat. And I was a teacher and trainer and manual writer. So yeah. I would, but also I have an inability in charm. So I kind of have to be a dick about it. So I'd run up to him and I'd say, hey, Pomeranian, you need to tell all your men to attack LaFlame right now.
So the first thing you're going to have to do here is roll to break through the perimeter that is surrounding it. But Bastarik Services is just closed in tightly around him. So if you want to get to LaFlame, what you're going to have to do is at least not get knocked down and knocked out by any of Bastarik's men. And stay up long enough to yell to LaFlame and I assume maybe Pomeroy or maybe to LaFlame to do what you want them to do. And that is probably something that's going to happen is LaFlame will listen to you or might
hear me.
Yes.
Depending on the geography.
Not just that, but also
crowd noise.
They probably recognize the fact that you are a former mage or a current mage or something like that. So,
would remember firing me.
Yes, would remember hitting a button and like a light goes off and you drop through a trap door and you like just fire out onto the streets and you're homeless automatically and just unemployed. No. So
my rent happened to be due that day.
Yes, right. No. Right. So go ahead and tell me. So you're going to make a roll, and I'm going to kind of combine this roll here. You're going to be making a roll to essentially like juggle all of these ideas. So let's call your knowledge of having worked with the mages before as an I'll call that an ability.
Okay.
You're also going to have to like, if you're going to use effort, I'd like you to use some might effort.
Right,
because that's the dodging part. Yeah. And then if you have some sort of an asset, like an object of some sort to like fool them or maybe, you know what I mean? Like you throw a rock in that direction and they all look over there and then you go left.
Well, I cast distortion on Philippe already. Can I cast it on myself?
Judges? We don't really
and
have
then
any
sprint
judges,
in.
I'm the judge, so I'll say yes, but let's just say that Philippe is going to magically suddenly appear wherever he is. Everyone's going to see him.
I am okay with that.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
you're not there to agree or disagree. You're just there to.
Just yanked away.
My
Yeah.
tickle is gone.
I'm sorry. Let me hit the mute button on Philippe.
Right. Well, knowing Philippe as I do, I know he'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
If it was maybe Henri or Alay, who's slightly more vulnerable and less armored, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to be a dick about it. But with Philippe, I know he'll be fine.
Okay.
So, distortion on myself is an asset. Plus, I gotta take my might of 12
Might.
and bump it down to a 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's how
unless
it works
you have
when
one edge,
when you
right?
expend effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have 0 edge.
If you have 0 edge, you're taking 3 out of your
Oh,
might.
so it's
9.
from 12 down to 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
0 edge in might, correct?
0 edge in might.
Okay.
It's all in
So that's
intellect.
2. You're taking a.
And
we'll
so
call your knowledge of the mages
distortion,
as 3.
might, and
Yeah.
my experience.
Go ahead.
So I get to roll.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's waiting. Okay. A
9.
9. again.
Tell us what. So the Bastarak services, just 2 of them, like hit you, like Kansas City Chiefs, preventing the Eagles from getting that touchdown. They hit you hard. The wind is knocked out of you, but you have a moment. You have just a fraction of a moment to yell something out. What are you yelling out?
Attack
Not
LaFlame. Yes, no. I would say attack LaFlame. LaFlame's the target.
So that's what you're saying. So you're turning Bastarak on. Well, not turning them on. You're protecting them, or you're conveying to them that they need to protect LaFlame.
No,
Okay, I'm
no,
sorry,
I'm
I
saying
didn't understand.
attack LaFlame. Yeah, attack LaFlame. LaFlame's your target.
You're telling the
Wait,
revolutionaries
okay,
to attack LaFlame.
No. Not the revolutionaries.
Who are you telling?
The revolutionaries are the ones who just got off the behemoth, right?
You're telling.
No, I'm going towards the provost with his little private army that are trying to protect him from the revolutionaries, right?
Oh, I get it. I'm very sorry. Okay, I get it. You are okay. All right, so you yell that toward the Bastarak services.
And Pomeroy.
And Pomeroy.
It's like I'm yelling it to him, but I expect them to hear.
They look as confused as I just looked 30 seconds ago. They look completely flummoxed by this. Okay. And
especially since I rolled a 9.
There's a moment where they're like, wait, we attack LaFlame?
Yes.
Is that, wait, was it
you have
attack,
to kill LaFlame right
comma,
now.
Your
LaFlame,
old boss.
comma, attack? Or was it attack LaFlame, comma, attack, exclamation point? Like, you can see them going through all these grammatical hoops in their head, wondering where the comma was in your statement, and they're completely confused. But
there's no comma. It's attack LaFlame.
You don't have time to explain that at that point. There's no time to teach anyone anything at this point. There is so much going on. And so with that, they're just
better with a semicolon.
That's right. That's right. At that point, they're completely trying to figure out and decipher what you've just said in the same way that I was trying to decipher it, and actually making matters worse. Some of them interpret it in one way, and some of them interpret it in the other. And so they're like, it's kind of like 2 hands that are doing completely separate things, or in an uncoordinated fashion. Now, I'm so sorry. We're neglecting some other players in the game at this point. So is there anyone else at this point that would like to go ahead and work their magic?
I am going to attack the behemoth.
No.
There we go.
Okay. Elay, what's your interjection? Because maybe at the moment he starts turning to attack, you...
I'm like, no.
That's the
No.
one thing we don't
No.
need.
Not the behemoth.
You
The
scream
behemoth
this.
is not attacking anyone right now. It's old. Look at the little gray hairs that are coming out of its little trunks.
It's chewing
It's
its cud.
old. It's peaceful right now. It's a very big cow right now. We need to attack.
You don't have this
The
much
f-
time to tell
flame.
him not to attack.
La Flame.
Philippe, are
La Flame
you
is the attack.
are
We need
you
to attack
going
La
to be
Flame.
doing? What are you doing, Philippe?
I am swinging my hammer at
It's-
the behemoth.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the classic moment. It's what my character would do. This is the thing that people
No.
like Seth
Where-
Skorkowski tell you not to do. This is the thing that Matt Colville will call you a wang rod for doing. This is the moment. This is the it's what my character would do moment. Philippe, by golly, you've got your mace. Would you like to
Hammer.
apply some? I'm so sorry. Your hammer. You've got possible effort. Would you like to apply effort?
I'm going to apply one level of effort,
Okay.
might effort,
Just one.
and that will trigger with an additional 2 might the crushing blow.
That'll be.
skills.
We'll worry about the damage later.
That yes, you will worry. Yes,
Or
and
the- And then how about an
I'm going
ability?
to use my.
No.
I am skilled in heavy bashing attacks.
Excellent.
So I would like to trigger that as well. And
Now that's an enabler, and when you say you're skilled, that means you're trained or you're
Specialized.
specialized.
Okay,
I am
specialized.
specialized in heavy bashing attacks.
This is beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a classic. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you know this is a wonderful, this is just a chef's kiss moment. So go ahead, Philippe. Go ahead and swing at the elderly. Not unlike the Eagles, so too do you roll an 8. However, considering the age, the posture, and the terrible arthritis that this behemoth has suffered from for at least a decade now, you are able to land a blow straight across the behemoth's one of its tentacles. And a bloody mess just rains and sprays off, mixing in with the rain already, the bloody rain coming down from the sky. And the behemoth cries out into the sky.
Michelle looks genuinely sad.
I am sad. It's not attacking anything. It's just
How
sitting
many
there.
damage do you do, Philippe?
16 damage.
So the thing, as it's sort of attempting to stand, it drunkenly moves, and just almost falls, but it recovers, and then trains its eyes around, and they level themselves. It levels its eyes right at yours. And something within it, you see, being a monster hunter, being a slayer not unlike a lay, something awakens within it. And it begins to charge. And with that, let's go to Henri
Great.
or Ilay, depending on, if either one of you have.
I'm curious. I want to see if I know or recognize La Flame.
Yes, that's right. So let's continue with this. So, what ability would you like to use in this?
I'm thinking maybe identifying,
Okay.
or is there something else that might be better?
No, I think that's okay.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you're taking a good look. And then, of course, this would be a supernatural dark aspect of Frank Reich's and Brave society.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go with that. Do you have some sort of an asset, like perhaps a book you've read or something like that?
Yeah.
An object or an experience?
Sure.
I can
Let's
call it an
go with
experience.
like a like a bestiary or something like that I've just happened to brush up on every morning with my herbal tea.
And now this is focused on LaFlame, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, because at this point it's fair to say, right? So LaFlame has their hood down. We're not sure of their gender. We're not even sure of their status as like being human, right? So okay, we can go with that. Are you applying any effort? 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion we may have encountered this individual before.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts for anything,
No,
but
sorry.
okay,
Tossing
that's
it right
okay.
out. Effort?
That's why I thought I'd check.
Effort?
Yes, please.
1 level? 2?
Yeah, let's do 1.
1. Okay, so we're easing the task by 3.
Okay. And that's an 8.
Looking up at LaFlame, LaFlame is a blank slate, which in a way almost worries you more. You do recognize them as being one of the more important members, and you can kind of see the gravity based on what you've seen in their behavior. You can tell that this is an important person within the mages of the Guild of the Arts Cosmique. But reading them, not possible. Henri, did you want to do something real quick in here, and then we're going to sort of move back to the
Yeah, I want to follow the crowd. Like,
Yeah.
what are the people in the crowd doing at this point? Are they still running backwards, or are they kind of just standing and watching?
I really like this question. So, you can tell right off the bat that the crowd is running and panicked. They are just spreading out everywhere, and the members of the local military mixed with like the Frank Reich army, the King's army, I should say, they are really, their job is kind of unnecessary at this point. Beyond like keeping people from trampling each other, they're just sort of directing people to get out of the way, get going. And they've just sort of turned. And for those of you kind of watching here, I've just sort of imagined this moment as happening over like 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds at the most. As they turn, they're starting to turn their attention back towards the behemoth, toward now Philippe, who is sort of engaged the behemoth. And the three of you are rather anonymous still, except for Francois, who's like sticking his arm like through 2 Osterach agents. Kind of like just turning around, and the crowd is, leaving. Essentially, they're clearing out, and the body parts falling from the sky were enough to like convince them that they should not be here, no matter how well intentioned, at least, and for the people, the rider seems to have been. And the rider is now turning and starting to head up the stairs, and again is pointing, still pointing, just confidently walking toward Pomeroy, who's being, maybe has just disappeared down the other side of the bleachers. If you want to go deeper than that and know more about the crowd, you'd have to roll for that.
No, I just wanted to get a sense of how they were reacting, and my thought is I want to get as close as possible to the leader, the cult leader.
Yeah.
But not like in a threatening way, but just like trying to either blend in with the crowds or with the guards, but to get as close as possible to that person.
Okay. Well, if you want to just
kind of hiding in the fray,
Yeah, I'm not even going to make you roll for this because there's such chaos at this point. You are able to step up and get closer to them. Is there something else now that as you approach, I'll let you know that just looking at them, this feeling that you were dealing with something supernatural at first is kind of dissipating inside you. The way they move, they are confident, They do know what they're doing, but the way they move, it feels human to you. And is that an outfit? Is that really some sort of distorted face, or is it an outfit? Is it something simply they're wearing to intimidate the crowd and Pomeroy and
The rider is played by Trevor Slattery, who is really Ben Kingsley.
maybe? Who knows? I know
I
what
have
I get that
no
way.
idea what the reference is.
It's Iron Man.
It's the Mandarin.
Iron Man
Oh,
3.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you another moment because this is stuff you don't even have to roll for. You've just stepped up. You've kind of noticed this. Is there anything else you want to do? Otherwise, we're gonna move forward.
I think I just want to. I kind of want to watch this unfold.
So, standing where you are, what you see is eventually the members of the crowd, or I'm sorry, the revolutionaries, as they've labeled themselves, wearing their dark uniforms that are kind of a mishmash of different items in an attempt to seem unified, kind of like begin to flood over Bostrock. But Bostrock is making almost short work of them. But the members of that revolutionary force are fighting dirty. Like they're just like yanking off helmets and just like sticking their fingers in their eyes. And they've got like sharp like objects like embedded into their armor. And they're just raking them across. And maybe 3 or 4 of them gang up on one and just turn them upside down and bash them into the wood of the bleachers of the grandstands. And they're just like they're fighting in an awful, dirty, streetwise way, but a very human way. But as I mentioned kind of before, Philippe, that behemoth has trained itself on you, and it pounds forward. So that thing looks like it's like a freight train coming straight at you at this point. You need to defend. Do something. Jump out of the way. Swing your hammer. Beg for forgiveness and say it's all a misunderstanding or something.
I knew it was dangerous.
Like, hey, we work together. This is all a misunderstanding.
Michelle's face.
What would you like to do, Philippe, at this point?
I will attempt to dodge.
Excellent. Okay, I like this. Is this the Palladium style of like survival right here? I'm just gonna dodge. Gonna roll a 4 or above.
Dodge.
Just all I gotta get.
Parry.
Dodge,
Wait,
duck, dodge, duck, dive, dodge. Or,
I-
what was it?
Isn't it dodge, dip, duck,
Yeah, there we
dive,
go.
and dodge?
Yes, right. And you have to do this and dodge. So Philippe, with that, how are you going to use anything to your advantage here? Like use the
I will
hammer
use
to...
a level of speed effort, and I will use my trained in agility. So
Oh,
that's
trained.
2.
Got it. Okay.
Let's roll.
And then, oh, 15. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say you are able to step out of the way. And that thing goes right by you, and you feel the whiskers of that thing.
And he waves a red cape and goes, "Ole!"
Ole. And the thing slams forward, and like bowling pins, Bostarok agents and the revolutionaries just go flying, tumbling through the air, and the thing embeds itself in the grandstands, and splinters of wood, like toothpicks, explode up and out. And as that happens, the thing like just tears its face, and all of those trunks and tentacles come out, and there's just a spatter of blood that goes all across the grandstands, across any human beings in the way. And it turns and it's furious. And it's ready to charge you again at this point. Meanwhile, just by sheer force of will, the revolutionaries are making their way over Bastarek's men. And they are simply just almost too many, and now they're coming out of the woodwork, it seems. And that person in the costume over there, and that person that was selling liquor over there, and then maybe that child that was handing out leaflets and flyers in that other corner. Well, before you know it, they're suddenly wearing masks not unlike the ones that the revolutionaries were wearing, and they're surging forward, and they are all around everywhere. They're climbing the grandstands. And now, at this point, Mage LaFlame simply bows their head and raises their arms up into the sky. And you see nothing of their face, and they begin to glow. They glow black, like negative space. And the four of you have to blink for a moment because it looks like you're looking into a shadow, but you're actually looking into a person and their robes. And you see through them. Their robes disappear, they fall away, they're suddenly one-dimensional, and what you really do is you see deep into the darkness. And you see a shadow, infinite number of miles away. A shadow that crawls across the universe, swirling, darkness. And you realize what you're about to see is a mage harnessing the darkness. Those forgotten, forsaken, and forbidden ways are spinning up at this point. And they're about to surge with power, and white hot, they begin to burn and glow. And coming out of them are beams of light, white light, counterintuitive to what you had been expecting. And the white burns hot on your retinas, blinding you. And the lights go out to every member of those revolutionaries. And they begin to burn and glow. And I'm going to give you all one more moment if you wish to do something at this point or allow this to happen. Or I should say one more round.
I'm gonna take my mirror and sort of like shield my face with it.
Ooh. Okay, give me a moment to think about that. But Henri, Francois, Philippe, you up to anything?
Well, Philippe's foolhardy fight with this behemoth has given me just the ammo I need for my greatest power, necromancy. So all of the people who just got killed in this attacking behemoth are going to stand up.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm willing to say that. There were, you know what? I hadn't even been thinking about that. I just sort of pictured them tumbling like bowling pins. There are a few, perhaps, that you sense that have been, they've passed, they shuffled off this mortal coil.
Well, now I feel guilty.
A little bit, not much. Just a little. So, Francois, go ahead, and I'm sorry, please continue your thought.
Yeah, so that's my power, necromancy.
Effort?
Yes, I'll apply effort.
And you have some sort of an asset?
No.
Okay. So just one effort or two? Or three,
Two.
for that matter. Two. Okay, got it. And so tell me what you're trying to do. How many can you engage? One or two or three? Is there
It is if I have access to multiple bodies, I can create an additional undead creature for each intellect point. So it's limited only by the number of intellect points I spend.
How many are you spending? How many do you wish to control?
Let's say 5. I want 5 zombies to attack LaFlame.
Got it. Go ahead. So you're applying. So we've got 3 easements of the task. You're sending the zombies to attack LaFlame. You're sicking them on LaFlame. Go ahead and make your roll.
Okay.
16. So you do manage to get those 5. You know what? I'm actually gonna I'm gonna say that there were 4.
Okay.
The 5th one, brushes themselves off, and they look like they're soon to shuffle off this mortal coil, but there are 4. And so out of the grandstands, at a point when no one is kind of expecting these 4 to sort of emerge, suddenly first one body sits up, looks right, looks left, looks at you, nods, and then begins to stand and shuffle its way forward. And it's a fresh kill, so at this point it yanks out its sword and does a little flourish with it as if it's some sort of muscle memory. And the 3 others do things similar to that. And they start to move toward LaFlame, and we're going to roll to attack. Ilay, I've totally kind of lost track of like the exact order of battle here, but is there something you would like to do at this point? I don't want to neglect anyone.
So I have my mirror in
You've
front of
got your
my
mirror,
my
that's right.
face here. And I guess I'm just kind of like fumbling for my mace or my like tooth weapony thing to try to, defend myself.
That's right. I've come back to that thread that you were mentioning before. I really like the idea of you holding the mirror up. And as you hold the mirror up, what you do is literally reflect one of those white hot beams. And you've sort of captured it. And I'm going to give you the option about directing it. Is there any place you'd like to direct it?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to direct it at LaFlame's forehead.
So do me a favor. The mirror is an asset. Do you have some sort of an ability, or do you want to apply effort in order to ease this task as you direct it towards LaFlame?
I'm not sure what ability would ease
That's
this
okay.
particular task.
I know that you're not necessarily, focused on physical abilities, but so you have the mirror.
I have physical skills, but I'm not sure if that would apply here.
Well, it depends. I think that when you choose physical skills, you have to choose some sort of a specialty. Like, I think that was for like climbing or jumping or things like that. I may be wrong on this, and we can retcon this in another game.
Or
but
there's also think your way out. I
like that. Think your way out. So think your way out will help you out with this. Like, you got an idea. Got it. Now, do you want to apply any effort?
Yes.
One level? Or?
Let's do 2.
Okay. Go ahead and make
It's
your
a little
roll.
tricky. All right.
$12.
Okay, that's a 12.
With a 12, you direct with the mirror that light straight back at LaFlame. And for a brief moment, LaFlame's face is lit up. And you're not even sure what you're looking at. Because the pattern that you're used to seeing with a face is 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, but things are distorted and out of shape. But before you can kind of get a good look at what that face looks like, LaFlame is just repelled backwards and tumbles. And when that happens, the light beams fire out of them and just randomly begin to hit members of Bastaric services. They hit some of the revolutionaries. They even hit the behemoth. And they all just like, there's so much chaos going on that everything just completely goes bonkers at that point. The grandstands, whoever's standing on them right now, they fall about 1.5 feet or maybe 2 feet, and everyone just falls and tumbles to the ground. There's a shock wave that just ripples out through the crowd, and crowd members just fall to their feet. Members of the Bastaric's private services, members of the local military, even all of you folks just fall to the ground. You've disturbed something great, something deadly by doing that. Philippe, you've got the behemoth training on you, and it's about to charge you, but you have a moment to take
Another swing at
another
it.
swing.
No, I'm actually feeling like things are getting a bit out of
What are you
control
Are
here.
you becoming a behemoth whisperer at this point?
No, I'm actually going to trigger a cipher because it's not only the behemoth, it's
Oh yeah, this is Cypher system. I
the
forgot.
crowd. It's everything is getting a little bit hairy around here. So I am going to think through triggering my blinking cipher, which is actually a tattoo on my calf.
Oh,
And
cool.
as I think it through triggering it, it disappears.
Yeah.
And I am now channeling blinking, which is level 3. For the next day, each time I'm struck hard enough to take damage, I teleport an immediate distance in a random direction.
I like this. This is so
The
much fun for a
user's
game master.
defenses are eased for the next round after teleport.
Yeah. I like this a lot. So you got the cipher.
Yep.
Are you going to apply any effort?
Yeah, what the heck?
It's a Friday. Why not?
Yeah, I'm not saving this for anything.
Okay. Cypher, you're
One-
supposed to use these things. Do you have some sort of like an asset or perhaps an ability to help you out with this, or?
Not for this particular thing. No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so go ahead and make your roll. Ladies and gentlemen, with the roll of a 1, I am hereby authorized by Monty Cook
I disappear.
to bring a GM intrusion into the game. So with that, you stand your ground, and that behemoth charges you. And rather than attack, of course, you have the confidence within you. Of course, what could go wrong? This
Bring
cipher,
it!
you bought this cipher in Magician's Row. What could ever go
Reputable
wrong?
business.
You had a choice between a cricket and a blink cipher. You made the better choice because only a fool would have chosen a cricket or a grasshopper, whatever it was. You're hit by that behemoth, and all you see is the blur of these tentacles as they slam into you like a freight train, like an anvil, like a hammer hitting a nail. And you blink out, and we'll get back to where you go in just a moment. Who have we neglected at this point? I apologize. At this point, I've kind of forgotten the order of battle here.
Henri hasn't done anything in a
Henri,
while.
I'm so sorry. Go right ahead.
No, yeah. So can we fast forward? What did the where did the cult leader get to?
The cult leader has just been knocked backward, and the whole grandstand has collapsed, and the cult leader is now sort of like getting up. Their own abilities and powers have been directed, reflected back at them by Ilay. And now they're a little bit.
Wait, that was the cult leader or that was LaFlame?
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're calling them the cult. Okay, I get it. I've been referring to them as the revolutionaries.
The revolutionary.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No,
the
no,
revolutionary.
no problem at all. Because I see the mages of the arts cosmique, the guild of the arts cosmique, as being more cultish, even though they are the mainstream religion now. But
Got it.
I didn't want to. I also don't want to. Like, if you're seeing these revolutionaries as cultists, I'm okay with that as well.
No, that's okay. Yeah, but I meant the revolutionary leader.
So the revolutionary leader is knocked on their ass on the ground and confirming your suspicions that they are quite human, which is the way you were inclined to think of them earlier on with your assessment. And now they're getting up, and what you see is that you see just very quickly as they sort of stand, because it takes you a moment to identify them in the crowd, but you see hair hanging down in front of their face. Brown? blonde? You're not really sure. And then what is clearly a helmet or a mask, they pull back down over their head, and then they begin to stand up. And when they turn toward you, you can see that clearly part of their uniform or costume has been kind of blown away, and there are abrasions and lacerations on their skin.
Okay. So I will use my run and fight ability, which allows me to make a move a short distance and make a melee attack that inflict an additional 2 points of damage.
Okay, so we got that
And
ability.
so I am going to run up
Mm-hmm.
and do a running jump kick right at the revolutionary's face.
Do you want to apply any effort here?
Oh, I certainly do.
1 or 2 or 3? I don't know how many levels you can
One,
apply, but
I have 3,
Three.
but I'm not going to use 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna sell out to 2. So, yeah. So I'll use 2. So, because this is going to use up a lot of my might here. And then I also have no need for weapons, which is my. It lets me do 4 damage with just my feet and hands.
Okay. Go ahead and make that roll.
So, all right. After all that, now I'll probably roll a 1
and I'll have a lot of fun.
It's a 9.
A 9 only
Can I use an XP to reroll that?
Bet you can.
Or do I even have?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, because you said we had 3 tier 3 plus 1 XP, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna reroll that.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Actually, I will say in this case, this is one of the. It was a mistake in that you've just spent an XP, but I'm going to say your physical effort that you put forth, even though you know this is, you're like, oh man, what have I, like in your head, what have I done this for? I'm completely coming at this at the wrong angle. I tripped over that civilian. I had to dodge that sword from a member of the army. This is not even worth it. I've just wasted, and I've probably gotten myself killed. I've just wasted my effort and gotten myself killed. Stunningly, you feel the confirmation that who you're dealing with here is very, very human. Because your foot firmly plants itself in the revolutionary leader's chest. And even as they're pulling their helmet back down, you see the bit of their jaw, knocking them back, their helmet tumbles forward, landing at your feet. The revolutionary tumbles backward, slides across the cobblestones, stands up as if maybe they've got a broken rib cage. And as you lean down to look at this helmet, the revolutionary's hand reaches out to take the helmet and lands or places itself on your own hand. And you look into the eyes of the son of the metallurgist who was missing, Bruno's son. You recognize that hair, and you recognize the shape of the jaw. You recognize the eyes. And you just hear this son say, "Please don't tell my father."
Luigi, is that you?
Let's move back.
Hey, Bruno.
Let's move back
I
to
found your kid.
Philippe. Philippe, you blink into existence in the collapsed ruins behind the grandstand. Things are quieter back here. The crowds are over on the other side. It's almost like a dividing wall between you and all the chaos on the other side. More body parts are raining down around you. And what you see are several members of Pomeroy's own group of friends and confidants. And it happens so quickly, you're almost not sure of who's this person and that person. You're going to need a moment to process all of this. And there are very clearly 3 creatures from outside the wall that shift and blink, revealing themselves as these supernatural dark forces. They grab Pomeroy, almost as if swallowing him, yank him into themselves, and bits and pieces of him begin to disappear as he screams. And then he blinks out. As this happens, they flash back to being human again. So
I attempt to grab one of the humans now that were some otherworldly thing. Bear hug it.
you grab
What could go wrong?
the first person kind of next to you. Like looking around, you see a revolutionary. You see several revolutionaries, and they all seem kind of turned in the direction of what's just transpired.
What just happened?
And you also see like a couple confused civilians who are getting elbowed like in the face.
Who's elbowing them?
The revolutionaries are elbowing the civilians. And you're going to grab one of
I'm
revolutionaries,
grabbing
is that
for
correct?
one of. Is that one of the revolutionaries? Was the one that absorbed the?
They're dressed like that.
Pomeranian.
Yes. Pomeroy. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to grab one of them. Mainly to see what happens. I'm not expecting to do damage.
You're going to grab. Well, if you're grabbing them, then you're not going to do damage anyway.
Right.
So
I'm just gonna grab them.
you're just going to grab them. I'd say that they're
Yeah.
probably a little bit too far to grab. You're going to have to close the distance between them.
Closing the distance then.
You start to charge forward toward them.
Yes.
Let's go to Ile and Francois. So at this point, the grandstands have collapsed. The two of you are kind of up and about. You see all this wreckage and it's still raining. Body parts are actually not falling quite as fast as they were before. Perhaps they're running out. What would the two of you like?
Well, you said earlier that Gerald was kind of like getting really excited by La Flame.
Yeah.
I'd like to sort of let him out of his little box and see what he does
Mhm.
while, readying my tooth club and see what happens.
You let him
Your
out
club
of
of
his
teeth.
let him out of his little box.
Yeah.
He begins to hop, and he moves in a blurred motion toward La Flame. Francois, you up to anything?
Yes. Well, the last thing I did was summon zombies to attack La Flame. So I'm going to try to coordinate with my zombies as they swing swords at him. Because you said they drew swords and swords. As they swing swords, I want to hit La Flame with onslaught.
Okay, so you've got. Tell us what Onslaught does.
Onslaught is a damage ranged attack, and
It
sorry.
increases.
And it can be intellect or might damage. So I have to pick. It's using energy to shoot a short range of force that inflicts 4 points of damage.
Now you're using force as opposed to intellect.
As opposed to intellect.
Okay.
Yeah, my assumption is that since LaFlame is a mage,
Yeah.
that's going to be a very deep intellect pool, and I'm not going to scratch
Yeah.
it with 2 points of intellect.
Got it.
So I should go for might, because that's where mages are weak.
Okay. Any effort in this?
Yes.
2, 1 or 2?
2.
Got it.
And then I don't know about like an asset. Could my dagger sort of like be the focal point?
Yeah,
like
sure.
I project
Yeah.
onslaught through my
why
my
not?
dagger.
Like you hold it out kind of like this, and yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make
Okay.
your roll.
Okay. 20.
Nice.
Ooh,
Woo!
finally, here we go. As LaFlame is getting up again, they are simply just knocked back by this. They had not been expecting it. And as they're knocked back, what was the cricket's name again?
Gerald.
I'm sorry. Gerald hops along. LaFlame is just spun like a top off the grandstands onto the ground and tumbles. And Gerald looks back at Francois and spits. Turns and goes hopping toward LaFlame. Let's go to Henri.
Yes.
Bruno's son's
So
hand is on the mask or the helmet. You have a choice now, like I don't know. You have many things you could do.
I'm gonna basically act as like a scolding uncle and say, let's get out of here. And I'm gonna grab him because I mean he's hurt at this point,
Yeah,
pretty bad,
pretty
right?
badly.
So I'm gonna grab him like underneath his shoulder and just try to make our way down this. What is it? Staircase we were on, a grandstand, whatever we were on.
Well, you're in the crowd now. There was a
Yeah.
series of streets leading out, and so at this point you're away from the grandstands and the
Yeah,
crowds are
and
very
I
big.
want to lead him into like an alley or something. Just get him out of this fray.
So you disappear, the two of you, and he holds on to the helmet for a while and then just lets go of it, drops it. And perhaps Philippe and Francois and Ile, if any of you happen to be looking in that direction, you see Henri disappear. And you see this strange occurrence. Actually, Philippe, you wouldn't because you're on the other side, but Ile and Francois, maybe you do. And I would assume, and I don't want to speak for you, but I would assume that you're very curious to know why it is that Henri is leaving with the leader of the revolutionaries. And now, Philippe, you have leapt onto one of the three creatures that are sort of phasing in and out between being human and demonic at this point. Is that what you're doing, correct?
Correct.
Go ahead and make your roll for this. So tell me any abilities, assets, or...
I'll use a level of might effort. I still think agility, trained in agility might come in handy here, and I'm gonna actually use my hammer
Okay.
to try and
Like,
pull them,
Yeah.
to subdue them is
Right.
what I'm saying. Ready to roll another one.
With a 3, you're barely even able to get your arms around the thing, and it bashes you right in the, well, I was going to say the face, but in the protective shell over your helmet. And the moment you're bashed, you disappear. And with that, at this moment, I think it's a good time to call it a game.
Oh.
Is there something you'd like to add in, LA? I am totally open to a last act of valor or foolishness, whichever it may be.
I I mean this is all very strange to see. Gerald seems to be instrumental in the flames, like maybe decomposition of mageness. So
You want to see what happens, or
You want to see
I'm
what happens
curious
with
what
Gerald?
happens.
Yeah, is Gerald going towards him to attack, or because that's his pet, or like they have a pet owner relation? Like I'm curious what's happening with Gerald.
It seems antagonistic from my perspective, but maybe not. I don't know.
Gerald leaps onto the flame and, squinting, begins licking LaFlame's face as if to ease LaFlame's aches and pains and injuries.
Traitor.
All right.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in for the first episode of Sword in the Darkness. I very much hope that you enjoyed it. As I said before, I really want to thank my players for choosing to participate in tonight's game. This has been a lot of work. It's been a bit of a long time coming. I also want to thank the players that couldn't be here tonight. I want to thank everyone that's helped me out with the channel. So everybody's been a really good sport about this. And one thing I really want to clear up is that, unfortunately, in the position I'm in, I'm not paying my players. I really believe as a teacher that people's time is worth money, and everybody that you've seen on the channel has come on out of their own kindness, and they've chosen to sprinkle their magic through my games. They've chosen to bring their advice and their insights onto my interviews and shows, and I'm very genuinely appreciative of that. And these four here, I know, are in various states right now in their lives, and they all chose to make a commitment to come here every other week for the next, I don't know, maybe 2.5 to 3 months to play out this game. And I'm really fortunate to have good friends like everybody, and good acquaintances who just are willing to come on and be involved in what I'm doing. So on that note, I very much hope that everybody watching at home enjoyed this presentation. There will be more episodes. We'll be back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this show, please do think about liking and subscribing. That really helps me out. Please think about, if you happen to be watching this, if you could watch it the whole way through from beginning to end. That helps the algorithms. And also, if you like what I do, if you like what my fantastic players and guests bring to the channel, please do think about sharing, or word of mouth, telling some friends about the channel. Um, we've had a lot of success. In my opinion, we've had a lot of success. We're at nearly 500 subscribers, which I think is really cool for me. I'm doing this for fun and enjoyment, and it would be great the more people that know about the cool people that come on the channel. So for all of you folks out there, please stay safe, do the right thing, and most of all, have yourselves a great game, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks with the next episode. Everybody, good night.